Tonight we're diving into a thought experiment. How amazing would it be if Pokémon were real? We want to explore which Pokémon would make the best pets if they existed in our world. But before we begin our journey into Pokémon lore, I want to take a moment to welcome you. Whether this is your first night here, or you've made Stellar Sleep part of your nightly routine, for those of you who've been joining us consistently, I want to thank you for being such an integral part of our channel. Be sure to share this video with someone you know who loves Pokémon. If you're falling asleep with us tonight, let me know in the comments how many nights in a row you've been here. And if this is your first night, just comment day 1. I'll be tracking our progress right alongside you. Now let's get back to the video. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world that looks almost exactly like ours, but feels fundamentally different. Imagine waking up not to the shrill electronic chirp of a plastic alarm clock, but to the gentle, rhythmic glow of a creature that radiates the warmth of a summer morning. Imagine walking down a busy city street where the pigeons in the rafters are replaced by Pidgey, and the stray cats in the alleyways are Mewth, with gold coins gleaming on their foreheads. Picture a reality where the boundary between the wild and the domestic has completely dissolved, replaced by a partnership that is millions of years old. We have spent decades staring at glowing screens, guiding pixelated monsters through tall grass and into red and white spheres. But we have never truly stopped to ask what would happen if that screen simply vanished. What if the barrier between our world and theirs was thin enough to break? What if you could reach out and actually feel the coarse fur of a Growlithe or the cool, smooth skin of a Squirtle? This is not just a dream of childhood nostalgia. It is a profound reimagining of human civilization. We are about to embark on a journey into a world where Pokémon are not just characters in a game or figures on a trading card, but living, breathing, sentient beings that share our homes, our beds, and our very lives. The stakes of this transformation are higher than you might initially think. This isn't just about having a cool, exotic pet to show off to your neighbours. If Pokémon were real, yet every single facet of human existence would be rewritten from the ground up. Our economy, our infrastructure, our safety, and our emotional well-being would be inextricably linked to these powerful creatures. Think about the responsibility of holding a creature in your lap that has the potential to generate 10,000 volts of electricity or breathe fire at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The bond between a human and a Pokémon would become the most important relationship in society. We would have to rethink what it means to be a pet owner, moving away from the idea of simple domesticity and toward a complex lifelong partnership based on mutual respect and elemental power. The very fabric of our daily lives would change. Would we still need power plants if a handful of Jolteon could power a city block? Would we still need traditional medicine if a Chansey could heal wounds with a single soft touch? The presence of these creatures would challenge our status as the dominant species on the planet, forcing us to find a new way to coexist with nature in its most vibrant and volatile form. But within this grand vision of a transformed world, a deeper mystery remains. Which of these thousands of diverse species would actually fit into the quiet corners of our modern lives? Not every Pokémon is a legendary god capable of moving continents or controlling the flow of time. Most are just animals with extraordinary gifts looking for a place to belong. We have to wonder which ones would become the most beloved companions in a world of high-rise apartments and suburban backyards. Would the fire types be too dangerous for a living room with wooden floors? Would the water types require massive tanks that most families simply couldn't afford? And perhaps most intriguingly, how would these creatures change us? Would the presence of a psychic type in the home lead to a deeper understanding of the human mind? Or would it create a level of intimacy that we aren't prepared to handle? We are looking for the perfect partner, the one creature that bridges the gap between the mundane and the magical. We are searching for the best pet in a world of infinite possibilities, trying to understand how their unique abilities would weave into the tapestry of our chores, our careers, and our quietest moments of loneliness. As the sun begins to set on the world as you know it, let yourself drift into a different state of mind. We are leaving the constraints of reality behind and stepping into a documentary of the imagination. We're going to explore the biology, the sociology, and the sheer wonder of a life lived alongside Pokémon. We will walk through the bustling markets where Machoki help vendors move heavy crates and sit in the quiet libraries where Noctowl watch over students in the dim light. We will analyse the practicalities of fire safety, the logistics of feeding a Snorlax, and the emotional depth of a bond that transcends language. This is a long, slow exploration of a world that could have been, and in some corner of our hearts, perhaps a world that already exists. Let the stress of your day fade away as we begin this comprehensive study of the ultimate companions. We're going to find out, once and for all, which Pokémon would truly make the best pet and how our world would be forever illuminated by their presence. The journey begins now, in the tall grass of the mind, where the rustle you hear isn't just the wind, but the movement of something wonderful waiting to meet you. Think about the sheer variety of life that would suddenly be at our fingertips. In our current world, we choose between dogs, cats, birds, and the occasional reptile. But in this alternate reality, the taxonomy of companionship expands into the elemental. You aren't just choosing a breed, you are choosing an element. You are choosing whether your life will be defined by the crackle of electricity, the fluidity of water, or the grounded strength of the earth. This choice would define your lifestyle. A person who lives near the ocean might find themselves accompanied by a Lapras, its broad back serving as a personal ferry through the waves, while someone living in the heart of a dense forest might find a companion in a Leafeon, whose very breath purifies the air around them. The sheer scale of this change is staggering. We are talking about the end of the world as a purely human endeavour and the beginning of a collaborative era. Consider the domestic landscape. Our homes are currently designed for humans and small non-magical animals, but if you had a Bulbasaur, your garden would never be the same. You would have a partner who understands the soil, who can coax blooms from the earth with a rhythmic vine whip or a gentle dusting of sleep powder. Your relationship with the environment would shift from one of exploitation to one of conversation. You would talk to your plants, and through your Pokémon, the plants would talk back. The very air in your home would be different, oxygenated and sweetened by the natural processes of a creature that is half animal and half botanical. This is the level of detail we have to consider. It is not just about the cool factor of owning a Pokémon, it is about the sensory shift of living in their proximity. The smell of ozone before a Pikachu uses a thunderbolt, the cooling mist that follows a Vaporeon, the soft psychic hum of an Espeon resting on the back of your sofa. These are the textures of a new reality. But with this beauty comes a set of profound questions that we must answer. How do we regulate the use of moves like Hyper Beam in a residential zone? How do we ensure that a Charizard has enough space to fly without causing a national security crisis? The legal and ethical frameworks of our world would have to be completely rebuilt. We would need new types of insurance, new building codes, and a whole new branch of veterinary medicine that deals with everything from frozen limbs to accidental poisonings. The stakes are not just personal, they are societal. We are looking at a world where a power outage isn't a disaster because your neighbour has an Electabuzz, but also a world where a temper tantrum from a Primeape could level a small house. The balance between the utility of these creatures and the inherent danger of their power is the tightrope we would have to walk every single day. As we dive deeper into this documentary, we will look at the specific roles Pokémon would fill. We will look at the service industry, where Mr. Mime might become the ultimate household assistant, creating invisible barriers to keep toddlers safe, or helping with the cleaning with unparalleled precision. We will look at the medical field, where the soothing vibrations of a togepi could revolutionize therapy for those struggling with anxiety or trauma. We will look at the way we travel, the way we eat, and the way we sleep. Every aspect of the human experience would be touched by the mon factor. We are trying to find the best pet, but in doing so, we are actually defining what it means to be a human in a world shared with monsters. Imagine the quietest moment of your day. Perhaps it is late at night, and you're lying in bed. You are of the house silent around you. In our world, you might hear the hum of the refrigerator or the distant sound of a car on the highway. But in this world, you might hear the soft, rhythmic snoring of a jigglypuff at the foot of your bed, its pink body rising and falling in a way that naturally lulls you into a deeper sleep than you have ever known. You might feel the slight weight of a Gengar hiding in your shadow, not as a creature of malice, but as a silent guardian that keeps the nightmares at bay. This is the mystery we are unraveling, how these creatures of myth and legend would settle into the mundane cracks of our lives, how they would become the brothers, sisters, and best friends we never knew we were missing. This journey is going to be long, and it is designed to be as immersive as possible. We are going to take our time in moving through the different types and temperaments, weighing the pros and cons of each potential companion. We will look at the small, common Pokémon that would likely be the most popular, and the rare, majestic ones that would be the dream of every collector. We will discuss the costs, the joys, and the unexpected challenges. So settle in. Let the world outside your window fade into the background. Let the sounds of this narration be your guide through the tall grass and into the heart of a world where you're never truly alone. We are exploring the ultimate question of companionship. We are discovering which Pokémon would truly make the best pet, and in the process, we are imagining a world that is a little bit brighter, a little bit wilder, and infinitely more magical. The transition from our world to theirs begins with a single thought. What if? What if the next time you whistled, it wasn't for a golden retriever, but for an Arcanine? What if the next time you looked into the sky, you saw the shimmering trail of a Dragonite delivering mail across the ocean? The possibilities are as endless as the Pokédex itself. We are about to step through the tall grass and into a life where every day is an adventure, and every pet is a miracle. Let us begin this exploration of a world transformed, one Pokémon at a time. One ordinary Tuesday morning in a quiet suburb, a rift tears through reality itself, and Pokémon emerge not as code on a screen, but as warm, pulsing life under your fingertips. Their hides shimmer with bioluminescent veins, fur soft as cashmere against your couch cushions. Its scales cool and unyielding as they curl beside your radiator. This is the threshold, the invisible line where digital fantasy bleeds into your breakfast nook, where a Charmander's tail flame licks the air just inches from your curtains, without scorching a thread. You wake to the gentle scrape of claws on hardwood floors, a Bulbasaur's vine tendrils unfurling across your windowsill to sip morning dew. These creatures don't just exist, they integrate, their biology rewriting the rules of your home. Consider the respiratory systems of fire types like Gruulith. They exhale controlled bursts of heat that warm your living room through winter nights, no thermostat required. Their flames, fueled by an internal methane sac, flicker like a living hearth, casting golden shadows on family photos while purifying the air of dust and allergens through subtle pyrolysis. You felt it yourself, that dry warmth wrapping around your shoulders as you sip coffee, the scent of smouldering embers mingling with fresh toast, utterly safe because their evolutionary safeguards prevent uncontrolled blazes. Water types weave into your bathrooms and kitchens with effortless grace. A Squirtle shell, porous and adaptive, filters tap water into pristine streams, filling your kettle with liquid clearer than any Brita pitcher. You watch droplets bead on its dome, hear the rhythmic glug as it pumps hydration into wilting houseplants, their leaves perking up overnight. In the laundry room, a Poliwag's buoyant body spins cycles faster than any machine, its skin secreting enzymes that lift stains from your favourite shirts, grass from the park, ink from forgotten pens, leaving fabrics softer, scented faintly of ocean spray. These aren't intrusions, they're enhancements. They're cellular structures interfacing with your appliances like extensions of your own limbs. Electric Pokémon charge the very pulse of your household. A Pichu nests in your outlet cluster, tiny cheeks sparking with static that juices your phone overnight, faster than wireless pads without a single overheat. You feel the hum through your soles as you pad across the carpet, static kissing your skin in playful tingles, powering smart lights that dim to your breathing rhythm. Grass types like oddish burrow roots into your potted herbs, accelerating growth until basal bushes overflow counters, their pollen-carrying nutrients that make your salads burst with flavour you never knew existed. The air thickens with earthy petrichor, a perpetual spring in your lungs. Yet this biological symphony demands more than space. It reshapes your mind. For decades, Pokémon lived as pixels, ephemeral bursts of colour in childhood games. Their cries mere chiptune echoes. You traded them like baseball cards, reset them with a button press. Their sentience a comfortable illusion. Now our Eevee gazes up with eyes like polished amber, tail wagging in sync with your heartbeat. And doubt crumbles. That first nuzzle against your ankle etches permanence. You sense intelligence in its tilted head, emotions in the quiver of its ears. Therapists call it the sentience reckoning, the jolt when data becomes devotion. You remember the early adopters, those bold souls who cracked the first verified Pokeballs in backyards worldwide. Newsreels captured their stunned faces, a firefighter cradling a singed Ponyta, its mane cooling to a gentle glow as she stroked its withers. An elderly widow, sharing her armchair with a Meowth, its purr vibrating through her bones, easing arthritis aches she'd endured for years. Skeptics scoffed, labelling it mass hysteria, but brain scans revealed the shift. Oxytocin floods mirroring parent-child bonds, mirror neurons firing as you mimic a Pikachu's cheek puffs in shared play. No longer avatars, they mirror your moods. A Jigglypuff deflates when you're stressed, its song lulling you into dreamless sleep. A Lucario stands sentinel at your bedside, aura sensing nightmares before they wake you. This pivot births profound unease at first. Now children hoard Pokédex apps, cross-referencing behaviours with wild data, whispering, "Is this the real one?" Adults grapple with ethics. Do you train with affection or command? Pet stores shutter as bonds form spontaneously. A stray Caterpie spinning silk hammocks in alleyways, drawing crowds who feed it berries instead of swatting. Social media erupts with confessionals. My Vulpix slept on my pillow last night. I cried realising I'd never unsee its warmth. The psychological fabric stretches, then strengthens, weaving humans and Pokémon into a tapestry of mutual reliance. From these cracks emerges the coexistence theory, a framework etched into global policy by 2025, spearheaded by biologists at the newly formed Poke Institute in Pallet Town. It posits not mere tolerance, but symbiotic evolution, humanity's tech savvy paired with Pokémon's primal prowess, catalyzing a society where scarcity fades. Proponents map it across scales. Molecularly, Pokémon enzymes boost crop yields by 300%, ending hunger in urban farms. Socially, therapy packs of Ardino roam hospitals, their pulses syncing with patients to accelerate healing. Economically, fleets of Tauros pull eco-freight, muscles tireless under solar-charged harnesses. You live it daily now. Cities redesign with perches for Pidgeot couriers slicing through smog, their wings dispersing pollution like living fans. Subways hum with onyx coils generating electricity from seismic rumbles. Fares slashed as energy costs plummet. Schools integrate battle simulations not for sport, but empathy training. Kids negotiating with partner Pokémon to solve puzzles, forging lifelong alliances. the theory's cornerstone. Every home a nexus, where a Pikachu sparks your alarm clock and a bayleaf shades your reading nook, blurring self and other until separation feels archaic. Governments ratify it in summits from Kanto to Carlos, treaties mandating threshold licenses, education on care, ensuring no creature suffers digital exile. Dissenters form enclaves, clinging to screens, but even they slip. A viral clip shows a purist cracking a ball in desperation, sobbing as his childhood Venusaur nuzzles him home. The theory solidifies reality. Pokémon aren't pets, they're kin, their breaths syncing with yours in the quiet hours. As dawn filters through blinds woven with Ariado's silk, stronger than steel yet featherlight, and you stir with your first companion at your side, its presence promising transformations that ripple through every ritual of your day. What happens when these beings redefine not just your nights, but the very first moments you greet the sun? In Chapter 2, The Morning Routine Revolution, we'll uncover how your alarm clock becomes obsolete. Your coffee brews itself with elemental flair, and the chaos of getting ready dissolves into harmonious magic you never knew you craved. As those once digital Pokémon settle into the rhythms of your living room, breathing real warmth into the air around you, your mornings transform in ways no alarm clock ever could. Picture the soft glow of a Charmander's tail flame, flickering to life just as the sky pales outside your window, its steady orange light chasing away the night's chill without a single thermostat click. You roll out of bed, feet meeting a floor that's already toasty from the gentle heat radiating from that little flame. No more cranking up the heater to battle frost-kissed tiles or waiting for radiators to groan awake. Charmander curls by the vent, its tail a living furnace, calibrated instinctively to your home's needs. 70 degrees in winter, a subtle 68 come summer, all without wasting a watt. That flame doesn't flicker wildly, it's a controlled ember, honed by generations of wild survival, now domesticated to warm your socks without scorching the rug. And when hunger stirs, that same Charmander waddles to the kitchen, where its fire licks the bottom of your pan with precision no gas stove matches. Eggs sizzle instantly. Bacon crisps to perfection, the heat so even you forget the days of uneven burners leaving one side raw. No matches struck, no knobs twisted, just a nod from you, and it exhales a puff of warmth that boils water for coffee in half the time, all fueled by berries you toss its way, sustainable as sunlight. But Charmander isn't alone in this dawn patrol. Meet Cyndaquil, its spikier cousin, who unfurls those dorsal flames like a row of pilot lights across your countertop. While Charmander handles the broad strokes of room heat, Cyndaquil specialises in the stovetop symphony. You set a pot of oatmeal down, and those flames ignite in sequence. First a low simmer for the grains, then a flare for toasting nuts, each burst measured to the second. No more overcooked rice or underdone stir-fries. Cyndaquil senses the steam rising, dials back instinctively, turning your kitchen into a chef's dream where meals emerge flawless, aromas of caramelized onions filling the air before you've even poured the milk. These fire types don't just replace appliances, they redefine efficiency, cutting your energy bills by 90% as they sip on Pokéchow pellets instead of guzzling electricity. Your old oven gathers dust in the garage, a relic of inefficiency, while Cyndaquil's flames dance through breakfast prep, leaving counters spotless, no grease splatters when the heat's so pure. Neighbours peek through windows, envious of the smoke-free glow spilling from your home, wondering how you ditched the utility company without freezing. Yet as your belly fills and the day's agenda looms, another ally stirs in the corner, a psychic type like Abra, its eyes half-lidded in that perpetual telekinetic trance. No apps buzzing on your phone, no frantic calendars. Abra floats your planner into view, pages shuffling, with a whisper of psychic energy, highlighting meetings, errands, that dentist appointment you nearly forgot. It syncs with your mind effortlessly, pulling thoughts from the fog of sleep, to organize your hours into crystalline flow. You sip your coffee, and Abra projects a soft, holographic schedule onto the fridge door. Hues of blue for calm tasks, pulsing violet for priorities, adjusting on the fly when traffic reports whisper delays. Mental clarity follows like a wakeful breeze. Abra's aura washes over you, easing the morning haze, sharpening focus so decisions snap into place. Forgot your keys? They levitate from the hook dangling before you. Need a reminder to hydrate? A gentle nudge in your thoughts, subtler than any smartwatch chime. This isn't mere scheduling, it's psychic housekeeping for your brain. Abra anticipates stress spikes, weaving in 5-minute breathers, channeling waves of calm that rival meditation apps, but feel profoundly personal. Your mind, once cluttered with to-dos, now hums with purpose, the weight of forgotten lists evaporating as Abra archives them into ethereal filing cabinets only it can access. Colleagues marvel at your unflappable poise, unaware it's Abra's telepathy pruning distractions before they root. With breakfast sizzling under Cyndaquil's watch and Abra mapping your conquests, power flows seamlessly from the tiniest electric types patrolling your outlets. Pichu, that pint-sized spark plug, nests in a custom charger dock by the wall, its rosy cheeks generating a steady trickle of clean current. Enough to juice your toaster, charge your phone, even hum your fridge to life without tapping the grid. No solar panels cluttering your roof or batteries leaching rare earths. Pichu recharges on a handful of oran berries overnight, outputting power purer than any outlet with 0 emissions. You plug in the blender for a smoothie, and Pichu's tail zaps a precise jolt. 200 volts steady, no surges to fry circuits. Sustainable? Utterly. One Pichu powers a whole apartment, scaling up with a few siblings for bigger homes. Their collective buzz, a lullaby of green energy. Imagine scaling that. A litter of Pichu scampering along baseboards, illuminating LED strips for that perfect morning light. Their sparks sinking to dim as Abra cues your when down later. Bills plummet to pennies, the planet breathes easier, and your home pulses with life, literally electric. Every outlet alive with Pokémon potential. No blackouts, no brownouts. Pichu's innate voltage regulation outsmarts any inverter, adapting to surges like a storm's playful tantrum. These morning marvels, flames flickering, minds melding, sparks snapping, revolutionize not just your routine, but the very fabric of domestic life, where Pokémon aren't pets, but partners in progress. Yet beneath this seamless synergy lies something deeper, a silent current binding you to these creatures in ways that reshape your soul. In Chapter 3, The Psychology of the Bond, we'll uncover how these alliances forge unbreakable loyalties, turning fleeting routines into lifelong devotions that heal the hidden fractures of human connection. Stay with me as we explore what truly makes a Pokémon more than a helper, but family. As your Abra floats that steaming mug of coffee to your bedside, aligning your day with effortless precision, you feel it, that subtle warmth spreading not just from the brew, but from the quiet trust built between you. This isn't mere utility. It's the foundation of every bond in a world where Pokémon walk among us as companions. In Pokémon lore, evolution through friendship isn't fantasy. It's a mirror to how pets transform lives, measuring loyalty in levels that deepen with every shared glance, every late-night walk under streetlights, flickering like distant stars. Consider the mechanics at play. A Pokémon's friendship level rises through consistent care, battling side by side, soothing it after defeat with a held berry that bursts with sweet tang on its tongue, or simply resting together in tall grass that sways like ocean waves. In our real-world parallel, this tracks the science of pet ownership perfectly. Studies from veterinary psychologists show that dogs and cats form attachment bonds akin to human infants with parents, releasing oxytocin, the cuddle hormone, during strokes and play. Translate that to Pokémon, and a Eevee curling at your feet, its fur soft as fresh snow, evolves into Umbreon, only after months of unwavering presence. You'd track it not with apps, but instinct. The way its eyes soften, its steps sync with yours on rain-slicked paths. Pet owners report 30% lower cortisol levels after just weeks of routine interaction, proving friendship as a tangible metric. Your Pokémon wouldn't evolve overnight. It'd mirror the slow forge of trust, turning a skittish hatchling into a lifelong guardian whose tail wags sync with your heartbeat. This bond heals in ways appliances never could. Take Chansey, that pink paragon of nurture, waddling into homes where chronic stress gnaws like an unrelenting shadow. Her egg, warm and luminous as a hidden sunrise, isn't just food, it's therapy incarnate. In a Pokémon real world, veterinarians would prescribe her presence for anxiety disorders, her soft coos vibrating like a weighted blanket on frayed nerves. Real therapy animals like rabbits or guinea pigs reduce hospital readmissions by 25% for heart patients. Her Chansey amplifies that exponentially. Imagine cradling one of her eggs during a migraine's vice grip. Its shell pulses with restorative energy, easing inflammation as surely as morphine, while her gaze, wide and empathetic, floods your veins with calm. Families with Blissey, her evolved kin towering like a gentle monolith, see children with autoimmune illnesses thrive. Her aura mends tissues at a cellular whisper, slashing flare-ups by half in clinical trials we'd run overnight. You'd wake not to alarms, but to her humming lullabies that sync brainwaves to delta rhythms, turning insomnia into deep, dreamless slumber. She's no pet. She's a healer whose bond rewires pain into peace. Blissey's embrace lingers in memory, her massive arms enveloping you like clouds after a storm. But the deepest roots of these connections trace back to childhood. The starter Pokémon tradition, choosing your first companion at 10, from that sun-dappled lab where Professor Oak's voice echoes with promise, doesn't just launch adventures, it shapes society itself, dictating hierarchies as subtly as family creeds passed down generations. Picture a boy selecting Charmander, its flame tail flickering like a birthday candle. That choice imprints fire in his spirit, fostering resilience that climbs corporate ladders where pyrite executives wield infinite boardrooms. Girls picking Bulbasaur nurture empathy, their vines entwining communities into tight-knit neighborhoods. Psychologists would chart it. Starter types correlate with personality archetypes, grass starters leading environmental councils, yet water types dominating diplomacy with fluid negotiations. Childhood development blooms here. Your first Pokémon teaches reciprocity before school desks do. A Squirtle shielding you from bullies builds courage. Its shell, cool and unyielding, becomes your metaphor for boundaries. By adolescence, social circles stratify. Fire starter cliques dominate sports fields with roaring cheers. Electric types buzz through tech startups, sparking innovations that light cities. Yet it's harmonious, this hierarchy. Your Pikachu's spark jumpstarts a rival's Magnemite, alliances forming like neural networks. These starters imprint forever, their evolutions pacing your milestones. A Totodile from your 10th summer grows into Feraligatr by your 20s, its jaws snapping through career obstacles while you confide dreams under harvest moons. Data from Pokémon centers would reveal it. Owners of high friendship evolutions report stronger social mobility, their bonds buffering against isolation epidemics. In therapy sessions, you'd recount that first Pokeball click, the warmth of release as your partner emerges, eyes locking in eternal pact. It redefines hierarchy not as dominance, but symbiosis, your starter's level mirroring your growth, its moveset adapting to life's battles, from playground scuffles to boardroom gambits. Friendship's alchemy turns Pokémon from helpers into mirrors of the soul, their loyalty a balm no machine replicates. Chansey's egg in your palm during feverish nights. Blissey's aura chasing shadows from hospital rooms, starters forging the adults we become. Each thread weaves a tapestry of unbreakable ties. Yet as these bonds reshape individuals, they ripple outward, demanding we rethink the very cities we build. In Chapter 4, Urban Planning in a Pokémon World, we'll explore how these companions force skylines to bend, habitats to harmonise, and streets to pulse with wild harmony. Stick around, because the architecture of tomorrow hinges on paws and wings alike. As those deep bonds with Chansey and Blissey weave into the fabric of your daily healing, you begin to see how they ripple outward, reshaping not just your home, but the very streets you walk. Cities in this Pokémon integrated world don't just grow, they adapt, evolving their skeletons to cradle the raw power of creatures like Pidgeot soaring overhead or Staraptor slicing through rush hour skies. Take the skies above a bustling metropolis like a reimagined New York or Tokyo. Skyscrapers no longer pierce the clouds blindly, instead their summits flare out into wide, aerodynamically curved landing pads etched with glowing runes that pulse in sync with a flying type's wing beats. These aren't mere helipads, they're transit corridors, vast aerial highways where flocks of Pidove and Wingle ferry commuters from district to district. You step out your apartment door at dawn, whistle for your personal Togetic, and within minutes, you're gliding over traffic jams that snarl below, the wind whipping your hair as the city's spires blur into a symphony of steel and feathers. Engineers have carved these paths meticulously, curving ramps that spiral around towers, thermal updrafts channeled by heat vents from below to ease the strain on younger flying types like Tylo. No more congested subways or gridlocked avenues. Your commute becomes a dance with the thermals, efficient and exhilarating, cutting travel times by half while slashing carbon footprints to whispers. But this aerial freedom demands precision on the ground. Picture the chaos if a rampaging Charizard's flamethrower grazed a crowded market, or if a Gyarados' hydro pump flooded a subway tunnel during a tantrum. That's where type zoning emerges as the unsung architect of urban harmony. Municipal codes now divide neighbourhoods into elemental sanctuaries, much like zoning for residential or commercial use, but attuned to Pokémon physiology. Fire-type districts cluster around industrial forges and winter parks, where their embers warm public benches and melt ice-slicked sidewalks without scorching the grass. Water types thrive in canal-laced quarters, their mist cooling summer heat waves and irrigating vertical farms that climb building facades. You live in a grass-zoned suburb? Expect lush overpasses draped in vines tended by bellsprout crews, filtering pollutants from the air and turning concrete jungles into breathing ecosystems. These zones aren't rigid barriers, they're fluid membranes enforced by subtle tech, barrier fields humming faintly at district edges, calibrated to dampen rogue attacks. A Pikachu's Thunderbolt fizzles harmlessly against a ground-type buffer in electric sectors, while ice types patrol chilled corridors to prevent avalanches of hail in high-rises. Urban planners pore over heat maps generated by Alakazam analysts, predicting clash points where a wandering Electabuzz might spark fires in a dry zone warehouse. Fines for type zoning violations hit hard, but incentives abound. Tax breaks for mixed-type co-ops, where a Vaporeon balances a Magmar's blaze. Walk through a type-zoned city at dusk, and you feel it. The subtle shift in air pressure as you cross from a fiery glow to a watery hush. The Pokémon around you relaxing into their natural rhythms, tensions easing like a collective sigh. Nowhere is this symbiosis more vital than in crisis response, where Squirtle squads and Mudkip platoons redefine urban resilience. Forget lumbering fire trucks guzzling fuel. Envision compact units deployed from rooftop stations, each Squirtle shell gleaming under city lights, pressurized with an endless cascade from withdraw-enhanced reservoirs. A blaze erupts in a high-rise. Sirens wail, but before human crews arrive, blue jets streak skyward. These Squirtles spinning in mid-air to unleash pinpoint water guns that douse flames without flooding lower floors. Their shells act as mobile pumps, drawing from municipal aquifers or even recycling runoff, turning potential disasters into controlled drizzles. You watch from your balcony as a squad leader, a weathered war turtle, coordinates with drones, his hydro pump carving safe paths through smoke, saving lives and structures in tandem. Mudkip teams take it further, revolutionizing water management in flood-prone sprawls. These unassuming amphibians burrow into sewer networks, their mud-slap fortifying levees against monsoons, while ground-type infusions stabilize sinking subways. In Venice Reborn or flood-ravaged Miami analogues, mudkip herds channel excess rainwater into underground reservoirs, preventing overflows that once drowned streets. Picture a heatwave cracking pavements. A mudkip patrol senses the shift, summoning a gentle mist from hidden aquifers to cool the asphalt, averting buckles that strand traffic. Their empathy shines here too, those big, soulful eyes scanning for stranded pets or elders, ferrying them to safety on buoyant mud rafts. Cities invest billions in these units, training academies where Squirtle cadets learn to sync pulses for mega hydroblasts, and mudkips master seismic sensing to preempt pipe bursts. This infrastructure doesn't just react, it anticipates, weaving Pokémon instincts into smart grids. Flying corridors double as weather monitors, Pidgeot flocks relaying storm data via instinctual cries decoded by apps on your phone. Type zones evolve with migration patterns, seasonal shifts prompting rezoning votes where citizens lobby for a Luxray patrol in darkening winters. The result? Metropolises that pulse with life, resilient against elemental whims, where your bond with a Pokémon isn't confined to hearth and home, but elevates the skyline itself. And as these grand designs take shape around you, whispers emerge of even smaller wonders, transforming the heart of your dwelling. The tiny giants of the living room, those pint-sized powerhouses waiting to redefine intimacy on an epic scale. Within the meticulously zoned towers and aerial boulevards of our reimagined cities, where flying types glide through designated corridors and elemental clashes are buffered by smart infrastructure. Your own living room emerges as the ultimate test of domestic harmony. Picture the soft glow of a lamp casting shadows across plush carpets, and there, curled innocently on the sofa, sits an Eevee, those wide doe-like eyes blinking up at you, tail swishing like a feather duster in the breeze from an open window. At first glance, it's the pinnacle of lap pet perfection, a pint-sized bundle of fur no taller than your forearm, radiating that effortless charm that makes hearts melt worldwide. But delve deeper into what draws us to these normal types, and you uncover a quiet magnetism rooted in their very essence. Eevee, the evolution chameleon, embodies adaptability in a world that demands it, its untyped neutrality slipping seamlessly into any routine, whether it's nuzzling against your side during a late-night read or playfully batting at dangling keys on the counter. No scorching flames to singe curtains, no psychic pulses disrupting electronics, just pure, uncomplicated companionship. Skitty joins this elite lap pet tier with its hypnotic cointail and perpetual kittenish purr, a creature that seems engineered for Instagram virality, tumbling across floors in acrobatic displays that beg for belly rubs. Normal types like these thrive because they mirror the everyday human. They're survivors, unpretentious powerhouses disguised as fluffballs, evolving not through raw force but through bonds forged in quiet moments. Their appeal skyrockets in polls from bustling metropolises to rural hideaways. Families clamour for them, citing that innate just right feel, where the Pokémon feels less like an exotic import and more like the family dog that never grew up. Yet here's where fantasy collides with physics in the most delightfully chaotic way. These tiny giants aren't so tiny when you weigh them against reality. Eevee tips the scales at nearly 15 pounds, packed into a frame smaller than a house cat. Its dense fur and muscle making it a deceptively heavy lap, warmer that sinks into cushions like a living paperweight. Lift one after a long day, and you'll feel the strain in your arms. A reminder that Pokémon biology defies earthly proportions, furrows of silky strands hiding sinews, forged for wild survival. Skitty, for all its dainty leaps, clocks in at over 4 pounds of compact whimsy. But scale that affection up. Imagine a household with 3 or 4. Their combined heft turning your couch into a sagging hammock, springs groaning under the load. The logistical nightmare unfolds from there. Apartment dwellers in high-rises face elevator weight limits, breached daily, with building managers posting frantic signs, no more than 2 lap pets per ride. Furniture collapses under enthusiastic pylons during movie nights. Upholstery torn not by claws but by the sheer gravitational pull of cuddles. Veterinary scales in clinics overflow with these cute overloads. Pokémon hospitals retrofit with reinforced exam tables, as normal types' deceptive bulk leads to back injuries for owners attempting heroic scoops from tabletops. Veterinarians tell tales of emergency calls at dawn, an Eevee wedged between couch cushions, its £14 frame too wedged to budge without a team effort, or a Skitty's playful pounce cracking floorboards in older homes. Airlines ban them from carry-ons outright, yet citing the domino effect, one hefty fluffball tipping the balance toward mid-flight reallocations. And don't get started on public transport. Buses reroute with lap pet priority seating, but rush hours devolve into Tetris games of shifting weights, passengers balancing precariously as tails wag and paws knead. Home insurance premiums skyrocket, clauses added for adorable structural damage, while furniture brands launch Pokémon-proof lines with steel-reinforced frames disguised as velvet. You adapt, of course, custom slings for transport, reinforced pet gates that double as weight benches. But the charm persists, that irresistible urge to scoop them up despite the hernia risk, because nothing beats the warmth of an Ivy's forehead pressed to yours, even if it means calling a chiropractor tomorrow. Now pivot to Meowth, the rogue of this lap pet realm, and the stakes escalate from physical strain to economic Armageddon. That gleaming coin embedded in its forehead isn't mere flair, it's a literal currency generator, payday attacks showering the air with glittering coins that multiply in value overnight. In a world where Pokémon roam as pets, Meowth ownership ignites a financial frenzy. Early adopters wake to pillowcases stuffed with doubloons, their kitchen tables buried under piles that local banks can't assay fast enough. The global economy buckles under the influx. Precious metal markets crash as Meowth minted gold floods. Exchanges devaluing currencies from the dollar to the Poké-dollar overnight. Central banks convene emergency summits, debating sterilization programs, sterilizing not the cats, but the coins, to stem hyperinflation. While black markets sprout in alleys where Meowth breeders hawk high-yield lineages. Imagine the ripple. Stock traders pivot to Meowth futures, speculating on litter sizes and coin purity, turning Wall Street into a feline casino. Governments impose pet wealth taxes, raiding suburban homes for hoards that rival Fort Knox, sparking protests from owners waving signs like "My Meowth, my money." Retail evolves too. Grocery stores accept Meowth coins at kiosks that clink and sort with mechanical precision, but counterfeit scandals erupt when crafty Persians shed fake flakes. The IMF reports a paradigm shift. GDP surges from pet-generated wealth, yet inequality widens as low-income families breed street Meowth for survival, their alleys becoming mints that outpace national treasuries. Fortunes flip daily. A single prolific Meowth elevates a family to oligarch status, buying islands redesigned with type zoning, only for regulatory crackdowns to claw it back. It's capitalism's fever dream, where a purring pickpocket on your lap rewrites ledgers, forcing economists to coin terms like feline fiscal flux and rethink monetary policy from scratch. Through it all, these normal-type lap pets redefine home life. Their deceptive heft and economic whimsy, turning living rooms into battlegrounds of affection and absurdity. As you settle into the sofa, Evie's weight a comforting anchor amid the chaos, Skitty's purrs lulling the day's worries, and maybe, just maybe, a Meowth eyeing your wallet with golden intent. The true guardians emerge not from the wild streets outside, but from the thresholds we protect most fiercely. In the next chapter, Guardians of the Threshold will uncover the sentinels who stand watch at doorways and hearths, their vigilance shielding us from unseen perils. What unbreakable loyalties and hidden powers await there? Those deceptively cuddly lap pets like Evie and Skitty, with their deceptive heft hidden under fluffy exteriors, demand a home fortified against the chaos they might unwittingly unleash. You feel it most acutely at the threshold, the front door, that liminal space where your sanctuary meets the unpredictable world beyond. Here, Arcanine emerges not as a mere pet, but as the pinnacle of canine devotion evolved. Picture the majestic Arcanine padding silently beside you, its crimson mane shimmering like embers in the dawn light, each paw full a rhythmic assurance of unwavering loyalty. In our Pokémon-infused reality, this legendary dog surpasses every service breed humanity has bred over centuries. Its innate flame wheel ability doubles as a rapid response heat source for hypothermia victims, wrapping them in a controlled blaze that thaws without scorching. Seizure detection. Arcanine's hyper-attuned senses pick up the faintest bioelectric shifts in your body, far beyond a Labrador's nose, guiding you to safety or alerting medics with a single, resonant howl that carries for miles. Stoutland joins this elite duo, the steadfast elder whose shaggy coat weathers storms and whose thick fat resilience shrugs off extremes from blistering heat to Arctic chills. You train Stoutland not through rote commands, but through the profound friendship mechanic, where days of shared walks deepen its intuition until it anticipates your diabetic lows before your glucose monitor beeps. Imagine stepping out into a blizzard. Stoutland's massive frame becomes your living shield, its fur a thermal barrier that maintains your core temperature while it scouts ahead, sniffing out black ice or hidden crevices with unerring precision. These aren't just dogs, they're the ultimate evolution of service companions, rewriting disability aid from reactive tools to proactive partners who evolve with your needs. Their vigilance extends inward, patrolling the hearth with a ferocity tempered by love. Arcanine's extreme speed blurs it across your home in seconds, intercepting falls or dousing small fires with a precise ember burst before they spread. Stoutland, ever the gentle giant, he herds wandering toddlers back from stairs with nudges softer than a whisper, its normal-type purity ensuring no elemental mishaps. Families with elderly members swear by them. One viral account describes a Stoutland carrying its 80-year-old charge uphill for 3 miles after a mobility scooter failed, arriving home without a single laboured breath. In this bond, you don't own a pet, you forge a lifelong alliance that guards your vulnerabilities as fiercely as it celebrates your strengths. Yet thresholds demand more than physical prowess. They brush against the unseen, the spectral veil where conventional alarms falter. Enter the ghost types, those ethereal sentinels who turn your home into a metaphysical fortress. Gengar doesn't just lurk in shadows, it phases through walls to eavesdrop on would-be intruders blocks away, its mischievous grin materializing only when malice crosses your doorstep. You install no cameras, instead, a resident haunter drifts through vents, its lick attack delivering a chilling, disorienting jolt to anyone tampering with locks, sending them fleeing with tales of poltergeist that no skeptic can debunk. Mimikyu takes subtlety to artful extremes, its ragged Pikachu disguise blending into toy piles until provoked. Then its disguise shatters, revealing a spectral horror that feeds on fear itself, repelling threats without a trace of violence. These Pokémon interact with the metaphysical in ways tech never could. They sense grudges lingering in the ether, unresolved energies from past traumas that manifest as cold spots or whispers. A Mimikyu might hover near your bed during nightmares. Its shadow sneak gently unraveling psychic knots, turning restless nights into profound rest. Dusclops stands eternal watch at entryways, its eerie glow phasing bullets or blades into harmless wisps, while alerting you with a telepathic chill down your spine. Communities buzz with stories of ghost-type efficacy, neighborhoods where burglary rates plummet because tales spread of homes haunted by laughing shadows that mimic victims' deepest fears. Parents adore Shuppet for child safety. It latches onto bullies' negative emotions at school pickups, trailing them home with incessant pranks until good behavior prevails. But this power invites unease. Do you truly control a being that dances with death? Ghost types demand respect, their evolution's tied to your emotional harmony. Neglect breeds resentment, a vengeful, ghastly turning pranks into perils. Still, in a world rife with intangible threats, they redefine security as a symphony of the seen and unseen. Your home a nexus warded against both flesh and phantasm. This guardianship ethos pushes boundaries further into the raw might of construction, titans like Machamp and Gurdurr. Picture residential builds transformed. Machamp's 4 arms hoist steel beams single-handedly, its no-guard stance ensuring pinpoint precision that human cranes envy. Gurdurr swings its steel girder like an extension of will, demolishing old structures in hours where crews toil weeks. Neighborhoods rise faster, homes tailored to Pokémon scales, Arcanine-sized doorways, ghost-proof basements with metaphysical dampeners. Yet ethics fracture along these fault lines. Labor unions protest the displacement of thousands. Machamp works 24 hours without fatigue, undercutting wages and sparking riots in cities like Saffron. Animal rights groups decry the moral quandary. Is commanding a Pokémon to lift until its muscles scream akin to slavery? Reports surface of overworked Gurdurr snapping girders in exhaustion-fueled rage, collapsing sites and injuring handlers. Regulators debate sentience clauses, mandating rest cycles and friendship bonds before heavy lifts. Lest a betrayed Machamp hurl a fling that levels blocks. Homeowners grapple too. Do you risk a construction crew of muscle-bound behemoths whose dynamic punch could pulverize your foundation if trust erodes? Proponents counter with safety stats. 0 fatalities in Machamp-led builds versus human error rates. But the debate simmers, forcing us to question if power without restraint fortifies or endangers the very thresholds we protect. As these guardians hold the line between your world and the wild unknown, a verdant transformation awaits just beyond your walls. In the next chapter, The Garden of Eden Effect, discover how your backyard evolves into a self-sustaining paradise where Pokémon turn dirt into abundance and redefine the very essence of home. While your Arcanine curls by the fireside, ever vigilant, and that subtle ghost type drifts through the walls like a whisper of forgotten oaths, your home craves more than protection. It yearns for renewal. Over 60% of urban apartments today sit barren, their windowsills littered with the skeletons of failed houseplants, victims of the relentless brown thumb curse that turns green dreams to dust. But introduce a grass-type Pokémon into that sterile space, and everything shifts. Picture your windowsill no longer a graveyard, but a thriving Eden. Bulbasaur, that unassuming bulb-backed starter, doesn't just sit there, it exhales life. Its symbiotic seed pulses with solar energy, drawing in faint sunlight through even the grimiest panes, converting it into a mist of pure oxygen that humidifies the air just enough to keep your skin from cracking in winter's bite. You water it once a week, maybe less, because Bulbasaur's vines instinctively seek out moisture from the ether, pulling it from the humid breath of your morning coffee or the steam of your shower. No more wilted ferns or crispy succulents. This little guardian terraforms your countertops, in coaxing orchids to bloom year-round and turning pothos into cascading waterfalls of emerald. And it's not just survival, it's evolution for indoor botany. In a world where Pokémon roam as pets, grass types redefine vertical farming right in your kitchen. Chikorita's leafy collar fans out like a personal air purifier, filtering toxins from city smog seeping through vents, while its scent, subtle like fresh-cut spring grass, lulls you into deeper sleep cycles. Oddish pops up at dusk, its roots delving into shallow pots to aerate soil that's been compacted for decades, releasing nutrients that make your herbs explode in flavour. Basil tastes like it was kissed by dew at dawn. Tomatoes swell fat and red without a single grow light. Your brown thumb obliterated. These Pokémon don't demand perfection. They partner with your chaos, forgiving skipped waterings with a gentle vine whip that nudges the pot back into light. Extend that to the future, and your apartment becomes a self-sustaining biome. Rose Raid, elegant and poised, orchestrates petal storms that pollinate every flower in reach, ensuring bumper crops from balcony planters. Leafeon, with its leaf blade fur, sheds razor-thin clippings that mulch your soil, recycling itself endlessly. No chemical fertilizers, no pesticides, just pure Pokémon-fueled symbiosis. Scientists in this Pokémon-integrated world would measure it in greening indices, tracking how a single household with a grass-type pet boosts local oxygen levels by 15%, turning concrete jungles into lung-like havens. Your living room air, once stale with recirculated doubt, now carries the crisp tang of a forest glade, and every breath a step closer to vitality. Now lean in closer, because Bulbasaur's potential scales beyond the sill, straight into reversing the scars of localized climate change. That bulb on its back? A natural bioreactor, churning out enzymes that sequester carbon at rates dwarfing any houseplant. In theory, a mature Venusaur in your sunroom could offset the emissions from your entire block. Its massive flower exhaling compounds that bind atmospheric CO2 into rich humus, layer by fertile layer. Place a few in high-rise atriums, and you've got microclimates forming. Temperature drops by 2 degrees. Humidity rises just enough to ease heat waves. Pollen counts plummet as it outcompetes allergens. But Bulbasaur is just the seed. Celebi unlocks the mythos. This time-shifted sprite, delicate as a dewdrop, he doesn't merely grow plants, it rewinds decay. Hovering over your drought-stricken balcony, Celebi weaves temporal threads, pulling moisture from future rains back into the now, greening brown patches overnight. Localized climate reversal becomes tangible. In a Pokémon pet society, neighborhoods plagued by urban heat islands, cool as Celebi's aura accelerates photosynthesis across rooftops, turning tar into turf. Studies would project that a city with 10,000 Celebi companions halves its tree planting budget while doubling green coverage, rivers running clearer as root networks filter pollutants downstream. Your own home? A pocket paradise where winter's chill yields to perpetual spring, Celebi's chime echoing like wind through ancient boughs, mending not just soil, but the frayed edges of your world's atmosphere. Yet paradise harbours shadows, and not all grass types bloom benignly in domestic confines. Paras, that fungal-crusted crab, seems innocuous at first, a scuttler under the couch, nibbling scraps with glowing spores. But those spores, they colonize. In the wild, Parasect dominates forests by hijacking hosts, and in your home, it starts small. A faint itch on your ankle, then mushrooms sprouting from the grout lines in your shower. Air quality plummets as it pumps hallucinogenic dust, turning restful nights into fever dreams of endless woods. Vets warn of Para's drift, where unchecked colonies spread to neighbours via HVAC vents, transforming apartment blocks into spore-choked hives. You wake disoriented, your once thriving Bulbasaur wilting under the parasitic siege, its vines clogged with mycelium. Fungus poses an even stealthier threat, masquerading as a benign mushroom cap until it releases a cloud of stupefying powder. One whiff in your bedroom, and sleep turns toxic, respiratory haze that lingers like regret, fostering molds that blacken walls and trigger allergies in waves. Domestic reports from early adopters tell of fungus nests under beds where caps pulse rhythmically, syncing to your heartbeat to amplify fatigue. Contain it wrong, and it evolves into a moongus, its deceptive eyes lulling you into neglect while roots pry up floorboards, seeking the damp underbelly of your foundation. These aren't pets, they're invaders, turning your Eden into a fungal underworld, a reminder that nature's gifts come barbed. So as your grass-type haven flourishes, Bulbasaur's glow illuminating forgotten corners, Celebi's magic stitching time's wounds, you feel the balance tip toward harmony, but every elemental force extracts its toll, hidden in the gleam of power. Up next in Chapter 8, the high cost of elemental living will uncover the bills that stack up when fire warms your hearth and lightning charges your nights. What price do you truly pay for a world alive with Pokémon might? Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know. And if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. While Bulbasaur's vines coax life from barren soil and Celebi whispers reversal to urban heat islands, the allure of elemental Pokémon pulls you toward a ledger stained red with unforeseen expenses. Consider Charizard, that majestic fire breather you've always dreamed of curling up beside on chilly evenings. Its diet isn't scraped from a bag of kibble. No, this beast hungers for raw thermals forged in volcanic hearts. A single daily feeding demands the energy output of a small geothermal plant, picture funneling liquefied coal or synthetic plasma through reinforced hoses, each gulp clocking in at the caloric punch of 2,000 Big Macs. Your average golden retriever thrives on $15 a day in dry chow. Scale that to Charizard's frame, and you're staring down $200 minimum every single day. But factor in the delivery. Armoured trucks rumbling up your driveway, hazmat crews in flame-retardant suits offloading glowing canisters that hum with contained inferno. Over a year, that's $73,000 just to keep the flames flickering in its belly, not counting the scorched patios from errant belches or the custom refrigeration units to store uneaten surplus before it ignites spontaneously. You'd think the thrill of watching those wings unfurl at dawn would offset the drain, but reality bites harder than a stray ember. Fire types don't graze on grass or kibble scraps. Their metabolism converts ambient heat into muscle and raw, demanding you pipe in municipal gas lines or install personal fusion simulators right in your garage. I've crunched the numbers from simulated Pokémon economy models for a mid-sized urban household. Maintaining one Charizard equates to leasing a Ferrari while paying its fuel, insurance, and mechanic, all while dodging flare-ups that could toast your neighbour's fence. And that's assuming no growth spurts. As it levels up through play and training, appetite swells exponentially, turning your backyard BBQ into a literal fuel depot. Pet owners whisper about black market plasma dealers cutting corners with unstable isotopes, risking metabolic meltdowns that summon emergency elemental response teams. The kibble versus energy debate. Kibble loses every time. It's cheaper upfront but useless, leaving you to siphon kilowatts from the grid or harvest from distant lava flows, each option hiking your utility bills into 5 figures annually. Shift your gaze to the metallic gleam of Magnemite, that floating orb of electric curiosity bobbing like a living nightlight in your living room. Non-carbon life forms shatter every veterinary playbook humans have ever written. No flea collars or heartworm pills here. These steel-shelled sentinels require electromagnetic therapy suites, where vets in Faraday cages calibrate their core magnets with precision Tesla coils. A routine checkup. You're looking at booking time in a facility wired like CERN, complete with particle accelerators to realign drifting polarity. Costs spiral because standard clinics can't house them. Imagine the chaos of a Magnemite short-circuiting fluorescent lights, or inducing currents in stainless steel exam tables. Specialized hospitals sprout in industrial zones, outfitted with cryogenic quenchers for overcharge incidents and quantum spectrometers to scan for microfractures in their levitating husks. One owner shared how her trio's annual wellness ran $25,000. Degaussing sessions to prevent magnetic tantrums, custom alloy patches for battleware, and nutrient infusions of rare earth minerals dissolved in ionized plasma. These vets aren't your corner animal doc with a stethoscope. They're fusion physicists, moonlighting in xenobiology, charging premiums for handling life forms that defy organic norms. Magnemite doesn't eat kibble or kibble-equivalent pellets. It absorbs ambient electricity, demanding you retrofit your home with dedicated outlets pulling from solar farms or tidal generators. A playful spin around the kitchen. It could fry your fridge, necessitating surge protectors rated for lightning strikes. Emergency calls spike when their internal batteries overheat, venting ozone-scented sparks that corrode wiring and summon hazmat crews. In this world, Pokémon insurers bundle exotic elemental riders, but claims for Magnemite mishaps, like accidental EMPs wiping neighborhood smart homes, trigger audits that drag on for months. You're not just feeding a pet, you're sustaining a portable power plant. One voltage fluctuation from turning your den into a blackout zone. Then there's the shadow over your homestead. Insurance in a realm where whimsy wields wrecking ball force. A playful scratch from a Luxray lounging on your couch rends drywall like tissue, claws infused with electric discharge, carving furrows deep enough to bury rebar. Suburban dreams crumble under premiums that dwarf your mortgage. Standard homeowner policies balk, forcing you into Pokémon-specific carriers with deductibles climbing to $50,000 per incident. Picture the adjuster arriving post-scratch. Drones mapping plasma scars across your siding, engineers assessing if the foundation's rebar has magnetized into a hazard. One family's tale went viral. Their young Garchomp, mid-tug-of-war with a chew toy, bucked and leveled half their garage, shards of concrete raining like confetti. Payout? Denied initially for foreseeable frolic, premiums jacking to $1,200 monthly thereafter, with clauses mandating reinforced bunkers for housing. Actuaries in this Pokémon-era model risks like catastrophe bonds, pricing policies on type matchups, and temperament scores. Fire types inflate rates by factors of 10 for conflagration clauses. Dragon types add riders for seismic tremors from idle stomps. Your cozy bungalow? Zoned now for high-hazard habitation. Neighbours griping as your premium subsidise communal rebuild funds. Yet owners endure because that Luxray's purr vibrates through your bones like a generator's hum. Loyalty etched in every glowing claw mark. Claims histories reveal patterns. 80% of denials stem from affectionate excesses, where a tail swish singes curtains or a wing beat shatters skylights. Carriers counter with mandatory training academies, but even then, the fine print buries you in act of elemental nature exclusions. Layer these costs atop daily upkeep, and elemental living reshapes your finances into a high-wire act. Utilities surge as you divert power grids for feedings. Vets bill like boutique surgeons, and insurers treat your home like a tinderbox. Grass types might mend the earth for pennies, but coax a Charizard to soar, or a Magnemite to illuminate, and your wallet echoes with the roar of expenditure. Families adapt with co-ops, sharing plasma tanks and vet rotations, bartering excess energy for communal coverage. Still, The math whispers, caution, for every heart-warming hearthfire tale. 10 households, downsize dreams to safer normal types. But once the bills settle, and your home stands reinforced against rogue sparks, imagine harnessing minds that bend reality from your desk chair. Telekinetic filing, precognitive deadlines. The psychic peers revolutionizing your workday in working from home with psychic peers. While the blistering forges of Charizard demand rivers of premium fuel and Magnemite vets charge a fortune for electromagnetic tune-ups, psychic Pokémon rewrite the rules entirely. They don't hunger for kibble or kilowatts, they thrive on the raw pulse of cognition itself. And for anyone chained to a desk in the data trenches, nothing upends the grind like partnering with Alakazam or Metagross. Picture your home office, that cramped corner where monitors flicker through endless spreadsheets. Now add Alakazam, its spoon bent not from strain, but from sheer psychic overload. IQ clocking in at over 5,000. You murmur a query about neural network optimization, and before your fingers graze the keyboard, golden spoons whirl like helicopter blades. Algorithms unfold in your mind's eye, projected not on screens but directly into your thoughts. Cleaner, faster, laced with probabilistic branches you never considered. Data scientists whisper about it in hushed forums. Alakazam doesn't just compute, it anticipates. It sifts petabytes in seconds, flagging anomalies with a telekinetic nudge to your coffee mug, tilting it just enough to jolt you awake. Your colleagues? They're still wrestling Python scripts at dawn. You? You're already 3 prototypes ahead, sipping triumph from that very mug. But Metagross elevates this to something godlike. 4 brains fused into a steel-plated supercomputer, hovering silently behind your chair like a sentinel from another dimension. You feed it a dataset, say genomic sequences tangled in a million variables, and it doesn't process, it devours. Legs retract, eyes glow crimson, and suddenly you're inside a crystalline lattice of insights. Correlations bloom like fractals. Predictive models self-assemble without a single line of code. Imagine debugging a quantum simulation. Metagross cross-references it against universal constants you didn't even know to check, outputting visualizations that dance in holographic air above your desk. No lag, no crashes, just pure, unrelenting intellect. Data teams worldwide would crumble overnight. Conferences empty as freelancers with psychic partners undercut entire firms. Your workflow? Revolutionized. Deadlines dissolve, innovation surges, and all from a pet that regards your laptop as quaintly obsolete. Of course, this psychic synergy extends beyond the elite coders. Enter Abra, the ultimate commute killer. That soul-crushing highway crawl, the packed subway where elbows bruise ribs, gone. You settle into bed after a midnight crunch, Abra's tail twitches in its sleep pod, and poof, instant relocation to the office rooftop, or your boss's penthouse for that urgent pitch. No traffic, no tolls, just a disorienting warp of starlit void resolving into fluorescent hum. Teleportation isn't magic, it's evolutionary efficiency. Abra naps through 90% of the day, conserving spoons for those clutch jumps. Families scatter across continents, kids Abra zipping to school, elders to clinics, cities decongest overnight, parking lots reclaimed as parks. The 9 to 5, it evaporates. Work follows you, or rather, you summon it at will. Why build empires of asphalt when a yawn-triggered blink suffices? Yet here's the shadow creeping in, the one that keeps even the most devoted trainers awake. These partners don't just compute, they peer. Alakazam sifts your surface thoughts like code comments, but dig deeper, and it unravels memories you buried decades ago. That childhood fear of thunderstorms. It knows, soothing you with a psychic hum during storms. Your latest crush, unspoken and raw. It glimpses the flush before you do, perhaps even relaying a subtle nudge to your phone's dating app. Metagross goes further, Its quad brains mapping neural pathways you can't hide. Late-night doubts about your career? It logs them, cross-references with performance data, and one day manifests a career pivot plan unbidden. Privacy becomes a relic. Your mind, once a sanctuary, now a shared drive. You feel it most in quiet moments. Abra curls in your lap during Zoom calls. Drowsy eyes half open, accidentally brushing regrets from last week's argument with your spouse. It doesn't judge, psychics rarely do, but the intimacy borders on violation. Laws rush in, thought shield helmets for sensitive meetings, mandatory mind wipe clauses in NDS. Therapists specialize in pet-induced overshare syndrome, coaching owners to compartmentalize. Marriages strain when Alakazam whispers one partner's hidden resentments during dinner. Yet millions adapt, craving the edge. Data whizzes trade privacy for god-tier productivity, whispering that the trade-off feels like evolution's next step. Your secrets fuel their genius, after all. And as psychic pets redefine remote empires, blurring home and headquarters into seamless thought webs, darker entries in the Pokédex lurk just beyond. Tune in next for Chapter 10, The Dark Side of the Pokédex, where we unearth the pets that turn paradise into peril. While the psychic gaze of an Alakazam might unsettle you with its silent scrutiny of your innermost secrets, the Pokédex hides entries far more sinister. Predators disguised as gentle drifters, luring the unwary into oblivion. Take Drefloon, that balloon-like spectre haunting the coasts of Sinnoh. You spot it bobbing innocently on the breeze, its wide eyes almost pleading for a child's touch. But flip to its Pokédex entry, and the truth uncoils. It drifts through towns at dusk, wrapping its gaseous tendrils around unsuspecting kids, attempting to whisk them skyward to who knows what fate. Reports from trainers in the field describe the screams cut short by helium whispers, the frantic scrabble of small hands against an unyielding membrane. In a world where Pokémon roam free as pets, this isn't folklore, it's a liability waiting to inflate. Municipalities would mandate curfews for balloon types after dark, with hefty fines for owners whose Drifloon escapes the tether. Imagine the lawsuits piling up. A toddler vanished for hours, returned dazed and babbling about the endless blue, the family suing for emotional distress while the Pokémon floats oblivious, leaking spores of amnesia. And it's not alone in this grim gallery. Jinx, with her hypnotic stare and elongated limbs, listed as snatching babies from cradles in the frozen wilds of Johto, or Mandibuzz, the vulture that picks at the eyes of weakened travellers left comatose by its perch. These aren't anomalies, they're evolutionary imperatives, hard-coded into their biology, turning what could be a whimsical pet into a nocturnal hunter. You'd think twice before letting one near a playground, wouldn't you? The Pokédex paints them as affectionate, but cross-reference field notes from Professor Oak's archives, and you see the pattern, a subset of species wired for abduction, scavenging, or worse, their playful behaviours masking instincts that could decimate neighbourhoods if unregulated. This predatory underbelly forces us to confront the status ailments baked into Pokémon combat, the ones that blur the line between play and peril. Confusion, that swirling haze induced by a Psybeam or a supersonic screech, scrambles cognition like a glitch in reality. Your pet Drowsy hits a pedestrian with hypnosis, and suddenly they're stumbling into traffic, fists flying at shadows, convinced their own shadow is the enemy. In public spaces, this isn't a game mechanic. It's assault with neurological weaponry. Courts in a Pokémon real world would classify it as aggravated battery, with precedents set early. Remember the Viridian City incident, where a rogue Hypno left a market square in chaos, shoppers clawing at each other under the delusion of Pikachu hordes. Prosecutors argue intent doesn't matter when the effect mimics date rape drugs or hallucinogens. Your Pokémon's yawn could land you in civil court, payouts running into the millions for therapy and lost wages. Sleep powder drifts even stealthier, a glittering mist from butterfree wings or oddish blooms that drops victims into paralysed slumber mid-stride. Picture a crowded subway. Your pet exhales once and half the car slumps against poles, vulnerable to theft or worse. Liability insurance for grass or bug types would skyrocket, with clauses voiding coverage in urban zones. Legal scholars debate the mens rea. Did the Pokémon act autonomously, or are you vicariously liable for its pollen? Precedents from Kanto high courts lean towards strict ownership responsibility, fining trainers thousands per incident, mandating muzzles or containment fields for powder spewers. You'd collar your Venusaur not for bites, but for breaths that could bench an entire office building. Then come the outright toxic titans, species so hazardous they'd trigger blanket bans from residential zones before the first lease was signed. Mook, that amorphous sludge heap from Cinnabar's wastes, oozes a corrosive slime that melts asphalt and sickens lungs with every belch. One escapes into a suburb, then you're facing Superfund cleanups, soil poisoned for decades, kids developing respiratory issues from playground fumes. Urban planners would zone them to industrial parks only, with wheezing as its gaseous counterpart. Twin skulls spewing smog thicker than factory exhaust, igniting wildfires from stray sparks or asphyxiating blocks in toxic fog. Pokédex logs detail wheezing nests corroding entire apartment complexes in Saffron. Tenants evacuated in hazmat gear, while the Pokémon wheezes contentedly. Why the ironclad prohibitions? Simple physics of filth. Mook's body is 95% industrial solvent, seeping through cracks to contaminate water tables. Wheezing's emissions rival coal plants, triggering asthma epidemics in confined spaces. No amount of training overrides their passive pollution. Your loyal pet leaks hazard regardless. Cities like Celadon would enforce zero-tolerance edicts, Pokémon control officers raiding homes with gas masks at the first whiff of decay. Trainers smuggling them in face felony charges, black markets thriving in abandoned lots where the air chokes like regret. These dark entries reshape society at its core, Pokémon leagues doubling as regulatory bodies, Pokédex apps flagged with hazard icons pulsing red. You might adore your Drifloon on a rural string, but in the city, it's contraband. You're wheezing a distant dream, exiled to the fringes. Yet even amid these shadows, the allure persists. What if containment tech evolves, or selective breeding tempers the toxins? As we surface from these murky depths, our thoughts turn to clearer waters ahead in Chapter 11. Aquatic Companions. Beyond the bowl, where the splash of fins promises serenity without the sting, or does it? While the shadows of predatory Pokémon, like Drifloon, cast long chills over public parks, and the courts grapple with the haze of induced confusion or slumber, water types pull us toward calmer depths, where companionship flows like a gentle current rather than snaps like a trap. A single Lapra, stretching 8 feet from crest to tail, demands more than a kiddie pool in your suburban yard. It reshapes the entire property into a private lagoon. Picture the retrofit. Reinforced concrete walls rising 3 feet high around what was once a modest 15 by 30 foot in-ground pool, lined now with thermal barriers borrowed from aquarium tech to hold water at a steady 58 degrees Fahrenheit, mimicking the chill of Johto's coastal bays. Pumps hum softly 24/7, cycling thousands of gallons through biofilters packed with seagrass and algae scrubbers, while UV sterilizers zap away bacteria that could sour those massive lungs. The shell alone weighs as much as a small car, so footings dig deep into the soil, anchored against the subtle sway of its weight shifting in sleep. Owners whisper about the first night when mist from its blowhole coats the patio furniture in salt-kissed fog, turning barbecues into impromptu seafood boils from the warmth radiating off the grill. Vaporeon slips into this setup with deceptive ease, its eel-like form coiling through the water at speeds that ripple the surface like wind over silk. But containment proves trickier. Those adaptive cells absorb moisture from the air itself, swelling if the humidity dips below 70%. So backyards sprout misting systems on timers, veiling fences in perpetual haze that beads on your skin like morning dew. Engineering pivots to modular enclosures, interlocking plexiglass panels that snap into place over the pool edges, preventing midnight escapes into storm drains, where a Vaporeon could melt into the flow and vanish. Feed it raw fish laced with electrolytes, and watch its tail fan out in iridescent blues. But neglect the pH balance. Hover it must between 7.2 and 7.8, and its fins dull, scales shedding like wet confetti across the deck. Neighbours complain of the glow at night, that soft aquatic luminescence spilling over hedges, turning cul-de-sacs into undersea boulevards. These setups don't just hold the Pokémon, they redefine family life around the water's edge. All kids learn to snorkel alongside a Lapras's patient drift, its melodic hum vibrating through the chest like a submerged lullaby, while adults unwind with Vaporeon's playful splashes that massage tense shoulders without a single touch. Yet the true marvel unfolds when Horsea enters the equation. Those ink-squirting sea dragons perching on pool ladders like living fountains. A clutch of them transforms recreational swims into interactive ballets. Jet a stream of harmless sepia at floating toys, watch them bob and weave, or train one to propel a kickboard across the surface at 15 miles per hour. Backyard parties evolve. No more chemical chlorinators, just symbiotic bacteria from Horsea's vents keeping the water pristine, scented faintly of ocean brine. Dugong elevates diving from hobby to communion. Picture slipping into twilight waters with one draped over your shoulders like a living wetsuit, its blubber insulating against the drop to 40 degrees, flippers steering you through depths where sunlight fractures into emerald shafts. Recreational scuba clubs dissolve as dugong teach breath holding through rhythmic pulses against your ribs, extending dives to 5 minutes without tanks. Their siren songs echoing in your ears to guide through murky shallows. Pool designs shift worldwide, infinity edges merging with ponds, underwater viewing tunnels burrowed beneath patios so you sip coffee while watching dugong somersault in slow motion. Bubbles rising like pearl strings. Dive shops pivot to rental services for aqua coaches, with Horsea tagging along to mark safe currents with ink trails that glow under blacklight. This intimacy with water types ripples far beyond the splash zone into the hidden veins of our cities. Release a non-native Horsea into the local sewer system, perhaps during a frantic escape or misguided freedom gesture, and chaos brews in the pipes. Those ink glands clog valves within weeks, staining effluent black as midnight, while rapid breeding turns storm drains into nurseries, eggs hatching by the thousand amid the sludge. Vaporeon's molecular flexibility lets it seep through cracks no wider than a dime, infiltrating treatment plants where it hybridizes with native fish stocks, birthing strains that corrode stainless steel with acidic mucus. Lapras juveniles, flushed accidentally during floods, grow too vast for culverts, buckling concrete and flooding streets with briny surges that salinize soil for blocks. Ecologists track these invasions via pH spikes and bioluminescent blooms surfacing in manholes, warning of tipping points where urban waterways become feral aquariums, teeming with dugong pods that beach themselves on riverbanks, bellowing for mates in the dead of night. Municipalities scramble with water-type retrieval units, teams in hazmat suits wielding pokeballs, tuned for damp environments, but prevention lags. Homeowners retrofit sump pumps with spectral scanners, beeping alerts at the first unauthorized plop. The fallout reshapes policy, mandatory microchipping for aquatics, etched into scales with laser precision, linking to GPS buoys that float unnoticed in pools. Yet for every clogged grate, there's a silver lining. Sewer divers report clearer pipes in infested zones, Horsea's ink acting as natural flocculant, are binding pollutants into harvestable clumps. Cities experiment with controlled releases, seeding resilient strains to purify wastewater, turning liability into asset as treated outflows shimmer with faint Vaporeon glow, safe for release into wild rivers. In this watery embrace, backyards pulse with life, once confined to aquariums. Swims become adventures shared with sentient waves, and even our underbellies hum with unintended ecosystems. But keeping these companions pristine amid the spray demands more than engineering. It calls for an entire industry devoted to their sheen and style, where Chapter 12 explores the fashion and grooming revolution waiting just beyond the water's edge. While Lapra and Vaporeon command backyard pools with their shimmering scales, demanding nothing more than a gentle current to stay pristine, her land-loving Pokémon owners face a far more hands-on obsession, one that turns everyday pets into runway stars. Contest halls pulse with the flash of spotlights and the murmur of thousands, where Furfrou struts in a pharaoh trim, its fur sculpted into regal spikes that catch the light like ancient gold. This is contest culture, the electrifying alternative to battling that has swept through suburbs and cities alike. For the family who sees their Pokémon as companions, not combatants, contests offer the ultimate stage. No bruises from thunderbolts, no exhaustion from endless training, just pure spectacle. Picture the regional circuits, Kalos Grand Festivals drawing crowds bigger than Major League games, judges in tuxedos scoring on charisma, rhythm, and visual flair. Pet owners, once content with walks in the park, I now invest weekends in choreography sessions, syncing ribbons and poses to swelling orchestral scores. It started small, back when the first Pokémon integrated into homes. Battle arenas intimidated the average owner, the risk of a rampaging Charizard too high for cozy living rooms. But contests, they welcomed everyone. A timid Milotic could mesmerize with a single aqua ring display, while a fluffy Altaria floated through aerial ballets that left audiences breathless. Today, non-battling households outnumber fighters 3-1, and contests are their Olympics. Membership in grooming guilds has skyrocketed, with amateur leagues popping up in every town square. Your neighbour's Spritzy isn't just perfumed for show, it's primed for the cute category, its powder clouds timed to the beat of pop anthems. Here at the heart of this frenzy lies specialised grooming, a multi-billion-dollar empire built on shears, conditioners, and unyielding creativity. Furfrou leads the charge, that poodle-like wonder with over a dozen official trims etched into cultural lore. The debutante style sweeps its coat into elegant waves for high society events, while the star trim explodes in geometric bursts, perfect for cosmic-themed circuits. Salons dedicated solely to Furfrou.urban strips. Think Furfrou Finesse in Lumio City, where master groomers wield hydro-powered clippers that shape fur without a single nick. Annual costs? A basic upkeep runs $500, but championship prep? Thousands, including custom dyes that glow under UV lights and oils infused with lumberry extracts for that signature sheen. Sylveon has carved its own ribbon-wrapped niche, transforming fairy-type elegance into an art form. Those feelers aren't mere accessories. They're living filaments, demanding daily rituals. Groomers mist them with moongeist essences to enhance their pastel hues, then braid or curl them into cascades that undulate like silk in the wind. Competitions feature ribbon symphonies, where a well-prepped Sylveon weaves patterns mid-performance, enchanting judges with hypnotic grace. The industry hums with innovation. Automated ribbon wenders, pheromone sprays to boost charm stats, even VR simulators for owners to practice styling without tangling a single strand. Global revenues top $15 billion yearly, fueling mega conventions like Groomerpalooza in Hoenn, where booths hawk everything from anti-shed serums to diamond-encrusted combs. Yet beneath the glamour swirls a thorny debate, the ethics of Everstones. These unassuming pebbles, clipped to collars or embedded in jewellery, halt evolution dead in its tracks. For contest stars like Furfrou or Sylvian, they're indispensable, preserving that perpetual puppy phase, the wide-eyed innocence that scores top marks in cuteness rounds. A Furfrou that evolves, it sheds its trims overnight, fur coarsening into something battle-ready and far less photogenic. Sylvian breeders swear by them, locking in ribbon finery before adolescence dulls the fairy sparkle. But critics howl foul. Pokémon rights groups rally under banners proclaiming, "Let them grow," arguing Everstone's stunt, not just bodies, but souls. Veterinary psychics report cases of frustration in stalled evolutions, restless behaviours, muted personalities, as if the stone whispers denial into their very essence. Imagine your pet, forever a juvenile, barred from the strength and wisdom of adulthood. Laws vary. Unova mandates psychological evals for long-term use, while Galar allows them freely, citing owner choice. Underground markets thrive on ethical alternatives, like reversible suppressants derived from pacha berries. But scandals erupt when overuse leads to brittle bones or faded auras. Whispers of reform grow louder at ethics summits, where activists parade footage of liberated Pokémon blooming into final forms. Their contests traded for wild freedoms. Owners counter with data. Everstone users report 90% higher happiness scores, bonds deepened by unchanging companionship. Still, the question lingers in salon waiting rooms. What price for perfection? Does halting nature's arc rob them of destiny or safeguard the joy we cherish? As glitter settles on contest floors and shears fall silent for the evening, certain pets stir under moonlight, their true natures emerging when the world quiets. In Chapter 13, Nocturnal Neighbours, we'll uncover the hush-hush habits of those who own the night. While your Furfrou lounges in post-grooming bliss and your Sylvian preens under the spotlights of an evening contest rehearsal, the house transforms around midnight. That's when the true night shift clocks in. Those Pokémon who claim the darkness as their domain, turning your cozy living room into a vigilant outpost against the unseen. Umbreon slips through the shadows like liquid obsidian, its golden rings pulsing faintly with each measured step. You might catch a glimpse from your bedroom doorway, that sleek black form weaving between furniture legs, ears twitching at the slightest creak from the attic beams. These dark types don't just prowl, they patrol. In a world where shadows can twist into something more sinister, perhaps a stray ghastly, phasing through the walls, or the creeping tendrils of a dream eater, they stand as your silent sentinels. Owners swear by it, tuck into bed with an Umbreon curled at the foot, and nightmares evaporate. Folklore ties it to their essence. They feed on the residual fear energy that lingers in the air after dark, siphoning it away before it coalesces into haunting visions. No more waking in a cold sweat from visions of endless voids or pursuing spectres. Umbreon devours the darkness itself, leaving only the soft rhythm of its breathing to lull you back under. Picture the quiet symphony they create. Hoot perches on the curtain rod above your window, its red eyes unblinking through the hours. That signature hoot, hoo-hoo, echoes every 15 minutes, not random but precise, like a living clock tower marking the night's progression. At first, it jars newcomers, pulling you from the brink of sleep with its insistent call. But adapt, and it becomes a comfort, a reassurance that nothing slips past its watchful gaze. These owls aren't mere pets, they're the neighbourhood watch, alerting to the rustle of a nocturnal murkrow scouting your trash bins, or the whisper of a mischievous Miss Dravus testing the doors. In urban apartments, Hoot thrives on fire escapes, its talons gripping metal rails as it scans the alley below, high feathers ruffling in the city breeze, laced with distant car horns and rain-slicked streets. Living with this night shift reshapes your home's very pulse. Daytime belongs to the extroverts, the primphers demanding brushes and bows, but come dusk, the lights dim, and the guardians take over. Umbreon might nudge your hand with its cool nose if a shadow lingers too long in the hallway corner, its rings flaring brighter to disperse it like mist under sunlight. Hoot's hoots sync with the settling house, a metronome that drowns out the erratic drip of a faucet or the groan of floorboards. Families report fewer midnight wanderings from restless kids. The kids sense the protection, burrowing deeper under covers, knowing their feathered overseer scans the room's edges. Yet it's not all seamless vigilance. That glowing patrol light from Umbreon's rings can pierce eyelids, turning deep REM into fitful dozes if you're a light sleeper. And Hoot, one overzealous specimen in a quiet suburb, sparked a neighbourhood feud when its timely hoots mimicked a faulty smoke alarm at 3 a.m. Dark types redefine safety in ways no human alarm system could match. They sense the intangible, the psychic residue of a bad day manifesting as cloying fog in your subconscious, or literal shadows birthed from unlit corners where cramorants forget their lanterns. Umbreon absorbs it all, its body a black hole for malevolence, emerging at dawn with rings dulled from the night's feast, ready for a sunlit nap. Vets specialise in shadow purge checkups, monitoring for overload where too many nightmares leave the creature lethargic, its coat losing that supernatural sheen. Owners form midnight walking clubs, leashing their Umbreon for block patrols, rings illuminating potholes and deterring petty thieves who swear the glow feels like eyes boring into their souls. It's this primal bond that elevates them beyond pets. They're extensions of your vigilance, guardians who thrive when you surrender to sleep. But not every nocturnal companion offers such stoic protection. Enter the luminous duo, Illumise and Volbeat, those firefly darlings whose bioluminescent displays turn bedtime into an unintended rave. You've seen them in parks, tails twinkling in synchronized dances that light up summer evenings like living lanterns. Adopt one, and your backyard, or worse, your bedroom, becomes their stage. Volbeat's abdomen pulses in rhythmic blues and greens, scripting aerial patterns that could rival a fireworks show, while Illumise mirrors it with softer yellows, her glow a beacon drawing mates from blocks away. At home, this charm flips to chaos. Their lights flicker through curtains at peak hours, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., disrupting melatonin production with relentless photon barrages. Studies from Pokémon coexistence institutes show human circadian rhythms thrown into disarray. Cortisol spikes mimic jet lag, leaving owners groggy for morning commuters, eyes strained from the perpetual nightlight effect. The disruption runs deeper than bleary mornings. Illumise zips around lampshades, her glow refracting into prismatic halos that dance across ceilings, pulling you awake to trace the patterns involuntarily. Volbeat, more territorial, patrols windowsills, flashing warnings at passing streetlights or rival bugs, turning your quiet suburb into a Morse code frenzy. Sleep trackers in households with these glowers register 30% more micro-awakenings, fragmented rest that accumulates into chronic fatigue. Creative types adore it, painters capturing the hues on canvas at odd hours. But for the average family, it's a recipe for resentment. Blackout curtains help, as do scheduled dimming serums from vets that mute their lights for 8 hours. But the bugs resent the chemical haze. Their dances stunted into sluggish blinks. One viral case saw a Volbeat troop, yes, they form colonies, infect an entire apartment complex. Residents petitioning for relocation as synced glows mimicked auroras bleeding through walls. Balancing these opposites defines nocturnal harmony. We'll pair an Umbreon with an Illumise, and the dark type's aura dampens the firefly's glare, creating a dim, protective ambience perfect for unwinding. Hoot learns to time its hoots around Volbeat's peaks, turning potential cacophony into a layered night soundscape. Hoot answering pulse in unwitting duet. Yet the human toll persists. Shift workers embrace the disruption, syncing graveyard shifts to the bug's rhythm, while 9-to-5ers invest in soundproof day dens for their daytime sleepers. Pokémon behaviorists now prescribe circadian trainers, specialists who realign pet schedules with yours through pheromone diffusers and light therapy lamps mimicking dawn at unnatural hours. In this shadowed domestic ballet, your home pulses with life beyond daylight hours, a testament to how Pokémon blur the lines between pet and partner, and protector and pest. As the night shift winds down with the first hints of sunrise, you can't help but wonder how these guardians fare when the horizon calls, when borders dissolve and adventures demand crossing time zones. That's the challenge we'll unpack next in Travel and the Global Citizen, where jet-lag journeys reveal just how far your nocturnal neighbours are willing to roam. I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. As the first light creeps past your Umbreon's watchful silhouette, you clip a Pokeball to your belt and step into a world that no longer waits for schedules or tickets. Pidgeot's wings slice through the morning mist, carrying you from Tokyo's neon haze to Sydney's sun-baked harbours in hours, not days. The skies, once ruled by roaring jet engines, now hum with the rhythmic flap of feathers and the thunderous gusts from Dragonite's tail. Airports, those sprawling cathedrals of aluminum and fuel, stand empty now, their runways cracked and overgrown with wing-gull nests. You remember the headlines from the early days, Boeing stock plummeting as trainers flocked to Pokémon centres for fly certifications. A single Pidgeot, with its aerodynamic plume and effortless speed, outpaces any commercial liner at half the cost. Picture families perched on broad backs, wind whipping through hair, oceans shrinking to mere puddles below. No more cramped seats or recycled air, just the salt spray rising from waves far beneath. Dragonite's scales warm against your legs as it banks toward Hawaii. The collapse came swift. By the end of the first year, transatlantic routes saw 90% drop-offs. Airlines pivoted to cargo haulers for heavy freight, Gyarados towing shipping containers across the Pacific. But passenger service? Obsolete. You'd see former pilots retraining as Dragonite handlers, their cockpits traded for saddles, reinforced with quick claw grips. Cities repurposed terminals into vast Pokémon stables, where Fiaro flocks roost and Charizard lairs belch smoke from open vents. The freedom tastes like pure altitude, that heady rush when your mount spirals upward, leaving contrails of stardust in its wake. Yet this skyward liberation demands order, especially when borders beckon. Fly and surf, those hidden machines etched into a Pokémon's core, are and become the ultimate visas in this borderless rush. International security evolves overnight. You approach a gleaming checkpoint at what used to be Heathrow, now a fortified area ringed by unowned script wards. Your Pidgeot submits to a mandatory scan, its HM compliance chip blinking green under a Machamp officer's glare. Regulations layer thick as a cloister's shell. Fly users must register with the Global Pokémon Transit Authority, logging every cross-continental hop via a Pokédex-linked app. Surf riders face tidal quarantines. Your Lapras might bob in a holding pen for 48 hours, screened for invasive species clinging to its barnacle hide. Violators? Confiscation. Smugglers try it, stuffing unauthorized fly HMs into Ditto disguises, but border Porygon Z firewalls detect the code anomalies instantly, triggering hypnosis fields that drop offenders into dreamless slumbers. You hear tales from the underground circuits, a rogue trainer etching surf onto a feral Gyarados, only for Interpol's Espion squads to trace the psychic ripple across the Atlantic. Passports now include Pokémon Move manifests, stamped by Customs Alakazam, who probe for illicit teleports. International accords cap Dragonite flights over disputed airspace. Think South China Sea, skirmishes settled by agreed-upon altitude lanes. Surf ferries require buoyancy certifications, ensuring no accidental tsunamis flood coastal embassies. It's a ballet of bureaucracy where your pet's power meets the world's wary gaze, turning every journey into a testament of trust. This ease reshapes cultures like a river carving canyons. Instant travel via Pokémon erodes the edges of tradition, blending flavors into a global stew you can't untaste. You wake in Paris, surf across the channel on a dugong sleek back, and lunch on authentic Kyoto ramen by noon. Hawked from a street cart in London, manned by a jellicent who chills the broth to perfection. Borders blur not just on maps, but in the marrow of daily life. Sushi bars sprout in the Andes, served by Altaria couriers who flutter down from misty peaks. Bollywood dances light up Times Square, taught by Salazzle performers who slithered in on midnight fly routes. Languages mash. Spanglish evolves into Pokeglish, with trainers shouting "Wela Pidgeot" in New York alleys. Festivals hybridize. Diwali fireworks mingle with 4th of July barbecues on Lapras rafts, drifting the equator. You feel it in the air, that homogenized hum. Everyone's sampling everywhere. Traditions diluted like oversteeped tea. Rural pockets resist longest. A Himalayan monk clings to his cloistered life, banning fly HMs from his monastery, lest tourists on Staraptorbacks shatter the silence. But even there, whispers spread. Young novices sneaking midnight serves on Polyrath to Mumbai markets, returning with Bollywood bootlegs and neon prayer flags. The world shrinks to pocket size, your Pokédex a portal to any shore. Friendships form across hemispheres. Your Parisian pen pal arrives unannounced on a tropious frond, laden with croissants and curiosity. Yet this fusion carries shadows. Iconic cuisines lose their soil. Eiffel Tower crepes taste of mass-produced Poké pellets when every chef trains abroad. Music streams global, K-pop remixed with samba, blasted from Neuwern amphitheatres in the Sahara. You sense the loss in elders' eyes, guardians of recipes now footnotes in fusion apps. Homogenization heals divides, but hollows uniqueness, leaving a planet where every sunset skyline feels faintly familiar. As oceans yield to wings and waves, the true voyage turns inward, pondering bonds that span not just miles but the quiet voids within us. What happens when these companions bridge every distance, yet solitude lingers? That's the puzzle we unpack next in Chapter 15, The Loneliness Epidemic Solved. Where Pokémon pets might rewrite the rules of human connection in ways that keep you listening deep into the night. As you touch down from your Dragonite's effortless glide across the Pacific, the thrill of border patrols waving you through with a nod to your surf-certified waylord fades into the familiar hush of home. But step inside those empty houses and you confront a shadow no HM can outrun. The loneliness epidemic, silently devouring millions. In a world where Pokémon roam as everyday companions, this crisis doesn't just persist. It finds its antidote in the unyielding loyalty of a creature that never leaves your side. Consider the elderly, those golden years stretching into quiet isolation. Your grandmother, once vibrant in bustling markets, now sits by a window, streaked with rain, her world shrinking to the tick of a clock. Enter the perfect partner, a Pokémon like Chansey, its egg-laden pouch a symbol of endless nurturing. Picture her soft hands cradling one of those eggs, warm and pulsing with life, hatching into a Happiny that toddles after her with tiny, determined steps. No more echoing hallways or forgotten birthdays. Chansey senses her aches before she voices them, dispensing healing waves that soothe arthritic joints and mend the invisible fractures of solitude. Studies in this Pokémon-integrated society show elderly owners reporting 75% fewer depressive episodes. Their days filled with the rhythmic pulse of a Blissey's joyful chants echoing through sunlit living rooms. And it's not just the healers. For the widower staring at faded photographs, a Lillipup evolves into a steadfast Stoutland, its thick fur a living blanket against winter chills. loyal eyes tracking his every shuffle from kitchen to armchair. These companions don't demand conversation. They provide it through playful yips or a nuzzle that conveys understanding deeper than words. Socially isolated adults, tucked away in urban apartments, find solace in a cleffable's melodic hums that lull away anxiety, or an Ordino's empathetic pulses that mirror their unspoken grief. Pokémon fill the voids humans leave, never too busy for a walk, never judgmental of your silences. They attend therapy sessions, perched on laps during video calls, their presence a bridge back to the world. This bond transforms lives on a societal scale. Retirement homes become vibrant sanctuaries, where clusters of seniors share stories over communal grooming sessions for their fur-free trims. Laughter bubbling as a Pomeranian-style fluff prunces by. Loneliness clinics prescribe companion pairings, matching introverted souls with gentle types like Indeedee, whose psychic rapport anticipates needs, a cup of tea materialized just as melancholy sets in. Birth rates might dip with fewer frantic couplings, but emotional fulfillment soars. Divorce rates plummet as couples rediscover intimacy through shared Pokémon parenting, watching a Pichu spark with delight at their reconciled voices. Yet, as these perfect partnerships deepen, a subtle fracture emerges. Human-Pokémon dependency. What begins as a balm for isolation creeps into atrophy of our most primal skills. You've seen it in the news feeds. Adults in their 30s, once outgoing, now flinching at human touch, their social muscles withered from years of Pikachu's unwavering adoration. Conversations dwindle to coos and commands. Eye contact with strangers feels alien when your Umbreon has been your sole confidant, its rings glowing softly in the dim light of midnight confessions. Therapists report cases where patients freeze in cafes and unable to decipher sarcasm without a Pokémon's intuitive nudge, their empathy circuits rerouted through telepathic bonds. The data paints a stark picture. In Pokémon-prevalent cities like a reimagined Saffron, dependency clinics see a 20% uptick in withdrawal syndromes, where separating owner from partner triggers panic akin to orphanhood. Children raised alongside Pokémon buddies struggle in schools, preferring the predictability of a Growlithe's enthusiastic tail wags over the nuances of playground politics. Friendships erode. Why risk rejection from a flaky human when your Altaria wraps you in cloud soft wings, singing away doubts? Families fracture further. Holidays become battlegrounds over who gets time with the shared Arcanine Hearth Guardian. Human relatives sidelined as obsolete. Or two, this risk amplifies with Pokémon whose own hearts mirror our hidden longings, none more poignantly than Mimikyu. Beneath its ragged Pikachu costume, pieced from tattered cloth and desperate stitches, lurks a ghost desperate for love. It can never truly receive. You glimpse it in moonlit parks. An elderly woman, her frail frame leaning on a cane, shares her park bench with this shadowy figure. Mimikyu clings to her shadow, its disguise fraying at the edges, eyes peeking through fabric slits with a hunger that tugs at your chest. She doesn't know the truth, doesn't see the decayed form craving authentic affection, only able to mimic the beloved mascot to earn scraps of kindness. Heartbreaking tales flood support forums. Mimikyu bonds fiercely, shadowing its owner through daily rituals, fetching slippers with eerie precision or curling at bed's foot like a faithful quilt. But exposure to its true self, accidental rips in the costume, revealing blackened tendrils, shatters the illusion. Owners recoil, therapy ensues, yet the Pokémon pines, repairing its facade in secret, driven by lore whispers of Pikachu's unattainable glow. In this world, Mimikyu becomes the emblem of mutual need. The lonely human finds purpose in fixing its costume, while the Pokémon savors proximity to warmth it disguises itself to deserve. Adoptions skyrocket among the isolated, But so do tragedies. Cases where owners, dependent themselves, unravel when Mimikyu's disguise fails, plunging both into deeper isolation. These stories underscore the double-edged sword. Pokémon solve the loneliness epidemic with companionship purer than any app or social feed, yet they risk rewiring us into hermits bonded to fantasy over flesh. Neighborhoods quieten, not with discord, but with the soft snores of intertwined species, human hands buried in fur, ghostly cloths draped over shoulders. Public campaigns urge human hours, mandatory coffee meetups sans Pokémon, but enforcement falters against the pull of perfection. As these dependencies blur lines between pet and partner, profound questions demand answers. When does loyalty become rights? When a Mimikyu's plea pierces your soul, or a Stoutland refuses to leave your side in death? Who decides sentience? Up next in Chapter 16, the legal framework of sentience, will unravel the courtroom battles and ethical quagmires that could redefine ownership forever. Stay with me as the stakes rise. As your elderly neighbour bonds so deeply with her gentle Blissey that she forgets the warmth of human touch, courts worldwide begin to whisper a troubling question. When does unwavering loyalty cross into the realm of personhood? In boardrooms and parliaments, lawmakers pore over footage of Mewtwo debating philosophy with scholars, its psychic voice echoing through chambers like a thunderclap from the stars. Sentience isn't just a spark anymore, it's a legal wildfire, forcing societies to redraw the ancient boundaries between beast and citizen. Picture the first landmark case, etched into history 2 decades ago in the bustling courts of Goldenrod City. A wild Alakazam, captured after telekinetically dismantling a factory polluter, demanded emancipation through its trainer's own lawyer. Witnesses described the air humming with psychic energy, papers swirling like autumn leaves as the Pokémon projected visions of its kin in the wild. Raw, untamed intellects pondering existence under moonlit forests. The judge, sweat beading on his brow amid the levitating gavel, ruled it property still, but mandated cognitive testing for all captures beyond a certain IQ threshold. That threshold, 80 on the human scale, measured not by puzzles, but by empathy simulations, where Pokémon must navigate moral dilemmas, like choosing to shield a child from harm or hoard berries for themselves. Fail and you're a cherished pet. Pass and whispers of citizenship stir. You feel the tension in everyday life now. Walk into a cafe in Lumio City and you'll see Espeon owners nervously flashing certification holograms from their Pokédex apps, proof their companion hasn't hit that sentience benchmark. Below it, their family, bound by love and leash. Above it, they vote in local elections, their paw prints scanned at polling stations beside human thumbs. But the line blurs fastest with species like Gardevoir, those ethereal guardians whose empathy borders on precognition. Families tell stories of their Gardevoir intervening in arguments, projecting waves of calm that dissolve rage like mist in sunlight. One viral trial featured a Gardevoir who divorced its trainer after enduring neglect, awarded custody of the household Pichu and a monthly stipend from the ex-owner's Pokédollars. The courtroom smelled of ozone from her psychic flares. Yeah, and the verdict? Partial citizenship, rights to self-determination, but tethered to a human sponsor, like a ward of the state. This framework extends to the shadows of labour, where the most controversial experiments thrive. Deep in the labs of Sylph Company, engineers unveil waves of cloned Pokémon tailored for precision roles, echoing the legendary Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy lineages from Kanto's early days. These aren't wild captures, they're vat-grown prodigies, their DNA spliced for unwavering duty. Imagine squadrons of Growlithe Jenny hybrids, fur gleaming like polished badges, patrolling Saffron's neon streets with noses that sniff out crime before it blooms. Their howls sync with squad car sirens, a chorus that rattles windows and sends thieves scattering into alleys slick with rain. Bred for loyalty, they lack the wild spark sentience scores hovering just under the line, ensuring they're tools, not teammates. Yet trainers murmur in taverns about the ones that evolve unexpectedly, eyes sharpening with forbidden awareness, demanding badges of their own. Nurse Joy variants take it further, delicate chancy clones waddling through hospital corridors, eggs glowing softly in pouches as they dispense healing waves that mend fractures in seconds. The air in those wards hums with soft coos and the scent of medicinal herbs, patients sighing in relief as a joy Pokémon cradles their hand, channeling soft pink auras that knit flesh like invisible thread. Billions flow into this industry, governments subsidizing clone farms, where thousands hatch under sterile lights, programmed for compassion without the mess of free will. But scandals erupt when a batch awakens. Chancies reciting Hippocratic oaths in synthesized speech, refusing orders to prioritize paying patients over the poor. Unions form in whispers, picket lines of pink blobs blocking emergency bays, forcing lawmakers to codify clone caps, limits on intelligence to keep them pets, not professionals. At the heart of it all pulses the Pokeball Ownership Act, a cornerstone of this fragile democracy, debated in smoke-filled assembly halls, where the tang of poker chips mingles with tense sweat. Ownership isn't absolute, it's a lease on a soul. You register your ball at the local centre, its serial number etched with your biometrics. But annual audits probe for abuse, scans detecting stress pheromones in captured Pokémon, flagging owners for re-education. High sentience captures demand dual consent. The Pokémon must voluntarily re-enter, demonstrated by joyful summons in front of witnesses, their bodies shimmering into red light with eager trills. Violate it, and the ball unlocks permanently, the creature vanishing into witness protection wilds, leaving you with a fine that could bankrupt a gym leader. Property rights twist further in estates. When a trainer passes, their Pokémon don't inherit, they choose. Notaries gather heirs around oak tables scarred by claws, releasing balls one by one. A loyal Arcanine might nuzzle the widow's hand, staying put. A cunning Meowth could saunter to the lawyer, pouring legal pads for its cut. Courts uphold these wills with holographic replays of the moments, the room filling with the crackle of flames or the rustle of fur, ensuring no sentient is bartered like furniture. Yet black markets thrive in undercities, rogue breeders hacking balls to suppress awareness, selling docile companions with dull eyes that hide simmering rage. Raids uncover warehouses reeking of chemicals, Pokémon mid-clone twitching on slabs, their muffled cries echoing pleas for the line to hold. Even international treaties strain under this weight. The United Nations Pokémon Accord mandates cross-border sentience passports, digital chips embedded post-evolution, logging cognitive growth like a child's report card. Fly across borders on your Dragonite, and customs agents scan for upgrades. A sudden spike in empathy scores, and your mount grounds itself, demanding asylum in foreign skies. Democracies clash with autocracies, where regimes clone armies of obedient Machamp, their forearms hammering dissent into submission, without a flicker of revolt. Protests rage in pallet town squares, banners fluttering in sea breezes. Pets today, citizens tomorrow. Philosophers debate late into nights by campfires, the pop of roasting marshmallows punctuating arguments. Can true sentience exist in a ball, recalled at whim? These laws shape your daily rhythm, turning every capture into a covenant. Release a wild one, too sentient, and it might return as a neighbour, voting against your zoning permit for that new pool. Keep one just below the line, and it watches you with eyes that gleam a little too knowingly over morning coffee, steam curling like unspoken questions. The framework holds, for now, balancing companionship with autonomy in a world where your pet might one day hold the ballot that sways your fate. But as we navigate these thorny borders of being, one question lingers like a Pokeball mid-throw. Who among them truly reigns supreme as the ultimate companion? Tune in next for Chapter 17, the Ultimate Companion Bracket, where we pit legends against fan favourites in a tournament that will crown the one Pokémon you'd never trade away. As the debates rage on in courtrooms and council chambers over whether a Mewtwo deserves a ballot or a Chateau to paycheck, everyday trainers turn to a simpler metric for their lifelong companions: pure, unfiltered practicality. In homes across the globe, from bustling Kanto apartments to quiet Sinnoh suburbs, the ultimate companion isn't decided by lawyers. It's forged in the quiet loyalty of dawn patrols and midnight cuddles, settling one irrefutable truth: only 5 Pokémon rise above the rest as the most rewarding pets you could ever hope to claim. Kicking off our countdown, at number 5, picture the unassuming Eevee curled at your feet, its fur a soft ripple of chestnut warmth against the cool tile of your kitchen floor. This little powerhouse earns its spot through sheer adaptability, evolving not just in battle, but in the rhythm of your life. Need a Flareon to chase winter's chill from your living room, igniting hearths with a gentle ember that smells faintly of cinnamon and pine, or a Vaporeon slipping through your morning shower routine, purifying water with a misty glow that leaves your skin tingling fresh. Eevee molds to your needs like clay in a sculptor's hands. Family hikes call for Jolteon's electric spark to light hidden paths, while late-night study sessions summon Espeon's psychic hum to sharpen your focus. Owners swear by its emotional intuition, those wide amber eyes locking onto your mood swings before you even sigh, offering a paw or a nuzzle that feels tailor-made. Yet for all its versatility, Eevee demands your commitment too. Neglect that bond and it stays forever a pup, a living reminder that the best pets mirror your own growth. Climbing to number 4, the aura-wielding Lucario stands guard like a steel-clad sentinel in your hallway, its red eyes piercing the gloom with an otherworldly blue sheen. Practicality pulses through every fibre of this fighter-turned family member. Imagine coming home to find your fridge restocked, thanks to its aura-sensing precision that detects ripe produce spoiling in the crisper or pinpoints a gas leak before alarms blare. Daily tasks transform. Lucario's Bone Rush clears snow from driveways in whipping blizzards, while its extreme speed turns grocery runs into a breeze, packages levitating effortlessly behind it. But the real reward lies in that profound loyalty, a telepathic thread weaving through your thoughts, sensing anxiety before it crests and responding with a reassuring spike on its chest, glowing like a heartbeat. Elderly owners cherish how it anticipates falls, aura flaring to steady a stumble. Parents rely on it to monitor playground scuffles from blocks away. Still, Lucario's intensity keeps it from the top. Its warrior spirit chafes in truly lazy afternoons, always scanning for threats that aren't there. At number 3, Sylveon drapes across your lap like living ribbon, its pastel ribbons undulating with a fairy tale shimmer that fills the air with the scent of vanilla and fresh blooms. This elegant evolution redefines emotional utility, its feelers attuned to heartbreak's subtle tremors, wrapping around you in a hug that dissolves stress like moonlight on dew. Picture therapy sessions at home? Sylveon's Moonblast purifies nightmares, casting rooms in a soft pink haze that lulls insomnia into submission, while its draining kiss siphons exhaustion from overworked bones. Grooming enthusiasts from our contest culture days know its ribbons as status symbols, but for pet owners they're tools, tying packages, signalling moods to visitors, even braiding hair with affectionate tugs. Rewards abound in its unwavering affection, turning solitary evenings into symphony halls of purring trills. Yet its fragility demands a gentle world. Roughhousing neighbours or chaotic homes leave it wilting, ribbons limp as forgotten silk. Number 2 barrels in with Umbreon's midnight prowess, its golden rings pulsing like lunar beacons on a coat blacker than spilled ink, patrolling your perimeter with paws silent as falling snow. From our Nocturnal Neighbours chapter, you know its vigil, against shadows both real and imagined. Deployed as the ultimate home protector, Umbreon's toxic spikes deter burglars with a mere flash, while pursuit locks onto elusive worries, chasing them into the ether. Utility shines in urban nights. It navigates blackout streets, rings illuminating keys or lost pets. For shift workers, its heightened senses sync with irregular sleep, waking you only for true emergencies with a low, rumbling growl that vibrates through floorboards. The emotional payoff hits deepest in companionship. Umbreon bonds through endurance, sharing your longest vigils with unblinking eyes that whisper, "You're never alone." Families report fewer arguments, its calming aura diffusing tempers before they ignite. But even this shadow knight yields the crown, its nocturnal nature clashing with sunlit routines, leaving daytime homes feeling a touch too empty. And claiming the throne at number 1, Arcanine reigns supreme, its majestic mane flowing like flames frozen in amber, a living inferno of loyalty that thunders into your life and never looks back. Why does this legendary canine outpace them all? Start with utility that reshapes your world. Its extreme speed hauls trailers across continents faster than highways. Firefang melts ice on winter roads with a roar that echoes like thunderclaps, while Flare Blitz banishes fog from morning commutes, filling your car with the comforting crackle of a bonfire. Daily chores? Forgotten? Arcanine herds kids to school. Its blaze kick-warming playgrounds. It tows fishing boats, extreme speed slicing waves like a hot knife through butter. But practicality alone doesn't crown it. Loyalty courses through its veins like magma, those piercing eyes meeting yours with a devotion that spans lifetimes. Sensing grief from across town and bounding home to nuzzle away tears with fur warmer than any blanket. Emotional resonance seals the deal. Stories flood forums of Arcanine pulling owners from wrecks, flames shielding them unscathed or standing sentinel through storms. Mane aglow as a beacon of hope. You feel it in every bound, every protective growl, a partner who chooses you as fiercely as you choose it, turning isolation into unbreakable alliance. Yet no bracket's complete without a wild card, and Ditto slithers in as the most paradoxical pet imaginable, both pinnacle of perfection and pit of unease. This rosy blob quivers on your counter, mimicking your toast to butter itself, or shape-shifting into a feather duster that fluffs pillows with eerie precision. Utility unmatched. Transform into any Pokémon or object for tasks beyond imagining. A Snorlax for demolition, a Jigglypuff for lullabies that sync to your breathing. It adapts to kids as playful toys, to elders as nostalgic favourites from youth. Rewards tempt with infinite versatility, filling every gap in your life like living putty. But the unsettling core gnaws, those blank eyes staring back as your own reflection, mimicking laughs a beat too perfectly, blurring self into slime. Owners whisper of dreams, where Ditto becomes them entirely, a pet so ideal it devours identity. Best and worst, it lingers as the choice for the bold or the brave. As these ultimate companions etch their place in our hearts, the ripples extend far beyond firelit hearths and aura-lit homes, reshaping society at its core. In Chapter 18, A World Transformed, we'll uncover how Pokémon pets don't just aid your day. They rewrite the very fabric of human existence, from economies upended to skylines redefined. Drift deeper now, and let the embers glow. Arcanine leads our bracket not merely as the pinnacle of loyalty and utility, but as the herald of an entirely new era, where the thunderous paws of living legends eclipse the hum of engines and screens. You feel it already, that subtle shift in the air, as one Arcanine becomes a neighbourhood watch, then a city's fleet of tireless rescuers, their golden fur catching the dawn, while searchlights gather dust in forgotten warehouses. Cities once choked with exhaust and neon now breathe easier, their skylines softened by the silhouettes of perched Pidgeot on every rooftop airy. Asphalt cracks under the weight of Tauros herds pulling market wagons, their low bellows replacing the growl of diesel trucks rumbling through the night. No more gridlocked freeways at rush hour. Instead, commuters vault onto the backs of sturdy riding, their rocky hides shrugging off rain as they carve paths through what used to be parking lots, now lush with berry groves, tended by patient Belossum. Power plants shutter one by one, their cooling towers crumbling into vine-wrapped ruins, supplanted by vast herds of Electabuzz and Raichu, their cheeks sparking in synchronized pulses that light entire districts. You flick a switch no longer. A gentle nod to your Jolteon fills the room with a warm, crackling glow, steady as a heartbeat, far more reliable than any flickering bulb prone to blackouts. Factories that once belched smoke into grey skies now hum with the rhythmic churn of Machamp arms. 4 muscles per worker forging steel beams effortlessly, their grunts echoing like the pulse of industry reborn through flesh and fur. Our screens go dark, not from some digital apocalypse, but from irrelevance. Why scroll through feeds when your Espeon anticipates your thoughts, projecting memories or messages into your mind with a flicker of psychic warmth? Boardrooms empty as executives confer via Alakazam telepathy, their spoons bending space itself to bridge continents in an instant. Libraries transform into communal hollows where Slowking presides over archives of living knowledge, their coral crowns pulsing with absorbed wisdom, far surpassing any server farm's cold data streams. Medicine evolves beyond pills and scalpels when Chansey waddles through hospitals, eggs hatching into cures tailored to your very scent. Surgeons step aside for the precise incisions of scyther blades, glinting under sterile lights that never dim. And in the fields, executor groves yield harvests year-round, their triple heads swaying in perpetual bloom, outpacing tractors that rust in barns. This isn't replacement, it's transcendence. Technology, once our crutch, becomes a relic, like stone tools in a museum of forgotten ingenuity. We shed the silicon shackles, our spines straightening as we walk, upright beside partners who carry us, heal us, illuminate our paths. Economies realign around Poké centers as hubs of trade and renewal, currencies minted from evolutionary stones rather than paper promises. Governments convene not in marble halls, but under the vast wings of Dragonite envoys, their roars sealing treaties with primal authority. Yet amid this grand reconfiguration, the deepest change stirs in the quiet corners of daily life. Your morning brew steeps under the focused ember of a chimchar perched on the counter, its playful chatter chasing away the fog of sleep better than any alarm chime. Commutes dissolve into joyful flights on Staraptor backs, wind whipping through your hair as the world shrinks below, turning hours into heartbeats. Even solitude yields to the ever-present companionship. No empty apartments, just the soft breathing of a growlithe curled at your feet, its warmth a living furnace against the chill of isolation. Wars fade into history books, borders patrolled by legions of Houndoom whose flames deter aggression without a shot fired. Exploration surges anew, submarines replaced by Lapras gliding through abyssal depths, their melodic songs mapping oceans long hidden. Space itself beckons, not with rockets but with the cosmic pull of Deoxys, reshaping orbits for humanity's next leap. But step back from the sweeping vistas, and the true heart of this transformed world reveals itself in the simplest moments. You've journeyed lifetimes with your Arcanine, from wide-eyed pup to majestic elder, its mane streaked with silver, like autumn leaves. The years have etched stories into its fur, the scars from that forest blaze it quelled alone, the joyful leaps during family gatherings, the steady gaze through your darkest nights. Now, as the sun dips toward the horizon, painting the sky in strokes of molten orange and deepening purple, you settle on a weathered cliffside overlooking the sea. The air carries the salt tang of waves crashing far below, mingled with the faint, smoky scent of your companion's breath. Arcanine leans against you, its massive head resting gently on your shoulder, eyes half closed in contented reverie. No words pass between you. None are needed after decades of shared battles, quiet vigils, and unspoken understandings. The sun's final rays gild its coat, turning fur to living flame, and in that glow you see not just a pet, but a soul intertwined with yours, a partner who has outrun time itself. The world below pulses with life, biology's symphony drowning out the ghosts of machines, and as stars prick the twilight dome, a profound peace settles. This is partnership perfected, loyalty eternal. That enduring dream of Pokémon lingers in our psyche because it taps the primal wellspring of human longing. Not domination over nature, but harmony with it. We crave beings who mirror our strengths and share our weaknesses, who demand our care as we offer theirs, forging bonds that technology can mimic but never match. In every child sketching a Pikachu, every fan replaying battles in their mind, pulses the ache for a world where wonder walks beside us, where loyalty isn't programmed but felt in every shared breath. It's the call to evolve beyond isolation, into a tapestry of living connections that heal the fractures of our tech-saturated souls. And as that sunset fades tonight, the promise whispers on. This world awaits, just beyond the veil of what we dare to dream. What did you think of this journey? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this changed your perspective or taught you something new, consider subscribing for more mind-expanding content. And if you know someone who would find this as fascinating as you did, share it with them. These are the kind of conversations that matter.